on Tuesday, November 6th, 2018. Present at the moment are John McLaughlin, Stephen Welch, Jesse Dutra, TJ Watterson, Abby Camp, and myself, Ray Cole. Val Oliver is expected back shortly. We'll let you know when she's back. A few things before we get started. One, this session is being recorded. Anybody who wants to use their own device to record any portion of tonight's meeting should let us know in advance. Thank you. And any conversations that are taking place other than at this table might want to happen out in the hallway, just so that we can pick up what's being said at the table for our minutes. Thank you. Any revisions to tonight's agenda, John?
Nope, it should be all set.
Should be all set?
Yep.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor of Bobby's motion?
Aye.
Very good. Moving along. Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none, we will move along the consent agenda. So, let's see, we have 6 people at the table. Now, TJ, you need to recuse.
I'm recused.
Okay. Anybody else need to recuse from this?
Are we on consent two?
Hmm?
What is this 3 Richmond Development Projects?
Which one?
We're just on consent?
Yeah.
Are we just here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you don't actually need to recuse because, I mean, you won't vote. We just won't have you vote the consent
Okay.
agenda, okay? So, can somebody give me a motion on the consent
I
agenda?
had a question on it.
Yes, sir.
Number 2,
2,
yeah, 66 Milk Street.
Yeah.
What kind of an addition is it? It doesn't state anything.
Well, TJ can probably help you out
I
there.
can speak to it. It's about 144-foot shed bump out on the back of the house and facing away from Milk Street.
Thank you.
You okay, John?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Did we have a motion?
No,
No.
motion to approve the consent.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
And
abstaining.
John is abstaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we will move directly to the few Richmond projects that we have up. Okay?
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Those,
go.
the architectural, those, we're assuming those are all of the black, when it says
Roof changed architectural.
Those are all black.
Well,
Yeah,
depends where they
downtown,
are.
Main Street, yeah, is more a black. Can't remember.
They're not the
They were all
variegated
They were all
ones.
the approved colors. Yeah, they wrote on the
Just
application.
to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So. Was it the B building that I had to read back into?
Yeah, so that's the last one.
And the other ones are,
They're all new business.
they're new business.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, you want to leave.
Well, there's a lot of things I want to do, but I
Well,
do have to leave.
No, but I mean, you
Yeah.
weren't gonna come at all, so I think that the fair thing to do in this case, because we would have a full board ex Stephen, is move item number 5, which he read into, as did I, so that we can move that along so Stephen can get to his other meeting. Would that be okay?
Is that a different one than this, John?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so, just to be clear,
Yeah, yeah.
don't open any of the drawings in front of you right now, because I would like a motion to hear item number 5 first. Can somebody give me that motion?
Oh, so moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Okay, so we're gonna hear the B building. John, just to be clear, he's only here for one application, which is the last one of the 5, the B building. So we're gonna hear that first, and then he can get going to his other meeting, okay?
We're passing.
Oh,
them
you're
on.
passing
Yes,
them. Okay, so let's get that folded up.
Are we coming back?
We're coming back to it.
So this is, Paul McLaughlin, Camp, and Welch. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul McLaughlin and Welch.
You're actually not on there.
Oh.
It's just the three of us.
What was that camp word then?
You had missed one, Abby.
Who's,
Paul McLaughlin,
I got that part, but who
Yeah.
was on there before? Diane?
yeah,
Yeah, see, you're missing Diane.
Okay. It's funny, I just remember comments from more people. Maybe I'm thinking of a different building.
Perhaps.
Sure.
Sure, sometimes. All right, so this is the B building, and, could you please, I see you have shutters.
Right.
I-
Which is, we picked up the revision comments from the previous, from 9/13 on, in September, we presented it in the middle bay on this particular building.
Mm.
We broke it up with the clapboard and the shutters on both stories, not just, 2 stories of shutters. And we also had, at one point, on the previous elevations, if you look to the bottom, we have a small image of what was previously
Yeah,
presented.
brackets.
Yeah, we had the brackets, and we were asked to change those to a standard portrait columns.
Mhm.
So we did that.
Right.
And then also, it wasn't a lot, it was mostly the materials with clapboard, the shutters, the columns versus the brackets. And that would be on both the south elevation and the other, the west elevation.
Okay. Is the trim white too?
Yes.
Did we request white on the blackboard?
No, John and I today were just looking at the different colors, and we were thinking white or the, maybe a putty, a light tan, maybe nice.
I personally would be in favor of that, kind of more contrast, less in your face, but let's go around. So, Steve, you ready?
Yeah, the clever change is definitely appropriate. I think it breaks up the masses. And it's, also very attractive. As are the shutters. And the color change I would be in support
The color change
of. From a white,
to some other like light gray type of color?
yeah, just a lighter tone.
Okay, like a platinum gray or something.
Yeah, hue that's in the tone.
or cobble, would that be like a cobblestone?
No, that would be nice.
No.
Oh,
Well, that's kind of-
Let the record reflect Ebby hates
is
cobblestone.
cobblestone the one that is
Kind of more beige.
Anderson type trim?
Oh, well, that's sand tone, that's for the
Oh,
windows,
it's
they
on.
do sand
I
tone.
actually don't know what
It's sort of the green,
color. Yeah.
Green gray putty, no good.
Okay, so let's hear what Mr. McLaughlin, John has to say. What do you think, John?
Where is the one for the, for this? Where is it? I wanna understand this one more,
The
right?
site plan,
This
yeah,
this has been acted on before.
Yeah, so there's 3 of us on this one, John. Stephen, myself, and you.
My question, all right, my question is, on this one, I believe I questioned it, and I asked that the arches be 45s and not curved.
right.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been
Oh, I thought
done.
we got rid of the little tent roof thing.
Huh?
They removed it.
That was the previous,
What?
Oh, John, yeah. So you're looking at the
What's this
little
one?
one?
previous west elevation.
Yeah. John, those are
I
gone
just
now.
gotta catch up on it, I'm sorry, there's so many of these at one time.
Those, I think it was your comment last time was you didn't like the little tent roof thing, so they put in columns. So you can see that on the top bigger drawing. both, now they all have columns.
I didn't say I didn't like something.
You said it was not appropriate.
I think
I believe that was your language.
town council told me about that.
Right.
Okay. What color is the chassis?
White,
White.
And you got black shutters?
black shutters.
Hey, and John, they decided the clapboard's not gonna be white, it's gonna be gray.
What?
The clapboard is not gonna be white, it's gonna be gray,
Okay, good.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
John, do you have that sample of grays in your,
I'm okay with
That's what I'm
platinum
looking for.
gray, which is a light gray that
I
provides
was here
enough
and I meant to do
contrast.
that, cause I forgot.
They told me.
So does anybody wanna make a motion on this guy?
Can I make one other comment?
Of course.
It's really just for the record, I
Yeah.
think, in that, I think chimneys would go a long way. I understand the nature of these buildings is not to have masonry chimneys for a variety of reasons. But I do think that like a primary chimney with some subordinate chimneys would go a long way in creating a sense of differentiation.
Would you be okay with a faux chimney?
I'm not even necessarily suggesting it has to be done so much as just saying it.
Well, it's a good thing to keep in your quiver for the future.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
I
do
do
these
have-
faux chimneys, you know, with the, you cut the brick so that you don't, it's not a lot of weight.
Like a thin brick, Mr. Chairman?
Like what?
Like a thin brick?
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually take real brick, you know,
Mhm.
terracotta, and they shape it so that it's only like that thick, and then you put it onto Durarock, and it looks just like regular brick.
I just, having read into this, it'd be unfair for me to be asking you to do that on this one.
Ask.
Or unless you're willing to do it.
Not on this one. On the next, we have another B coming up, in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That has the three
Look at
chalk
big-
pieces.
So one on,
Four
one a
big
big one on,
ones.
and little ones on the other ones.
What?
I was just gonna ask for one, but now since I can't get one of these, I'll ask for a bunch on the other.
Yeah, right, 5.
Well,
Um,
do what we can to accommodate for sure.
Thanks,
Okay.
Diana.
So, can somebody give me a motion on this?
Motion to approve this submitted.
Sorry, Mr. Is there color changes to the trim or windows or anything, or is it
Subject to
clapboard?
the change in color.
We're changing the clapboard color from white to platinum gray.
And the trim will be
White.
white.
Okay. Which is what they require. That's your motion?
It is.
Yes, John.
I'm missing something, all right?
Okay.
I wanna get it right in my mind. This is a B building.
Correct.
Right, where is it located? Off Orchard Place. If I was to find it on one of these first ones you had,
That's the purple building off of Orchard Place.
that's that one here.
Correct.
These are the two front elevations, this elevation and then.
Get them right, not hard to confuse me at my age.
The video?
Okay,
Yeah,
are you okay?
So it's
John, Stephen has a motion on the table to approve with gray clapboard. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Stephen's off. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. That takes care of item 5. Now we're gonna jump back
Where's my
to,
pen? Good, good.
did you say pen?
You just put it in your thing. It's right here.
You put it there.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, I'm here
Yeah,
now.
okay, so let the record reflect.
Take care.
Right, so this one can go back, thank you.
Yeah.
And now, what's this thing, we're a 6-person board again, so. You know, this is such a large project, I think I'm gonna have you guys alternate. We have 4 applications before us, so why don't we just go, Jesse, you'll be on the first
Are
one?
these new?
Yes,
I believe so, yeah.
they're
Were
revisions.
you gonna say something?
Yeah, these have been previously approved, and then we had to revise the, second floor windows for code.
Oh, so these are revisions, they are not new, okay.
They've already been approved.
Okay, so just to simplify, Jesse, do you mind just sitting on all these, cause they're not nearly as intense as I thought.
Sure, no problem.
Right. Alright. So, right now, we're doing building, one for right?
So I is located along Iron Road. We're gonna start, today we're just looking.
You got off,
Really eye in front of you.
Oh, they gave, I apologize, okay.
These are new, these are revisions for previous.
Okay, everybody, heads up. John, the building we're reviewing right now is this little guy right here.
D?
No, it's
I.
I.
Oh, the blue one, all right.
It's
Behind the pink G.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
I thought these were staff revisions. Why are we looking at them?
Because I had to change the windows, slightly due to a code
so
For egress.
Dinah,
Just
just to
included those,
simplify things for you and for
Just
us.
to show that it was
Why don't you
previously
tell us,
approved.
is this gonna be like across the board for all four
A few
applicants?
things will be across the board, and then there's a couple
Okay.
of other ADA.
So,
provisions.
we see the bubbled stuff, we see the windows, so what has, it appears
So in a nutshell,
they're bigger.
in a nutshell, the second floor windows have been increased from 4'8" to 5'0", where required. We
Well,
love,
we like that.
oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
The reason that we had them, the 5'0" is just basically to meet the egress requirements with the storm watch, which is an impact.
Listen,
type
hey,
resistance.
okay,
Okay.
but
That's-
is
That's
that?
across the board for all of the eyes, that's number one. Number two,
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves, so this particular application, the I building,
right,
is all we're looking at is that you have changed to have the windows be 4 inches taller?
No.
Oh, no, okay, sorry, go on.
when I say across the board, that's on all of the eyes that you'll be seeing
Got
tonight,
it, okay.
okay? Actually, Mr. Chairman, I would then also change the two Bs to,
Which page are you on?
the north elevation, number one, to stay in concert with the larger windows, we would make all of the second floor windows A, except where required to be a C for the bathroom.
Okay, so you're suggesting a change that actually isn't bubbled. You're saying to take these two windows and turn them into A windows?
Right, because now they'll be a little bit smaller than everything else. And, but I thought that the,
I mean,
Well, yeah, this is the same as this.
yeah,
yeah,
which is
it
the same
lines
thing
up.
that happened here. So
Yeah, okay.
these used to be Bs, they need them for egress, and so these windows too would become A windows.
John, am I on, am I?
You are
this?
on this.
These are new applications.
Yeah. Okay, it's the regular board.
Okay, I
That's
just-
what it is. Anything else?
Okay, and on the east elevation,
East.
there were two small eyes that we increased the size to A's.
Oh, see again, very positive.
Yeah.
Got that? There's
A
little
little
bitty more
better.
things, there's these, yeah, okay, good.
And then thirdly, we, on the west, previously approved west elevation, we took the two eye windows and made them into A's, by rearranging the bathrooms and where the
Also
fixtures.
good.
I think it's more balanced, and
Couldn't
then,
agree with you more.
great.
Alright.
And then on the south elevation, we put these two windows that are closer to the main gable, we moved them out again because there's bathroom considerations. I do think it's still more balanced even.
Now,
You
one-
took the porch
yeah,
off
what happened
though,
in the old
And the
board?
door.
Now that is
and the
change.
door.
That, the door, we only have one window to a master suite on the floor plan for that door. So that is the big change.
Well, actually, the bigger change for me is.
The porch.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just talk about the logistics of that porch? Right now, as the site developed, we have a G building behind it that we added a 1 square portion that is in this courtyard. This porch, I can go back to it, but I'd rather use it somewhere else because really, this is gonna be a heavily landscaped area. And I'm getting a little bit close to the G, it's still within the 20-foot requirements of, code, but really the door and the porch are not viewed except from like a profile. And we have a
Okay.
lot of upcoming apartment buildings that we would love to use the long farmer's porch on rather than the small, this is the smallest building in the eye. That is a definite change if
Okay.
possible.
Thank you. All right, can I safely assume that nobody has any objections to going with these larger, more uniform windows
True.
across? Is that, so we can take that off the table for the moment. All right, so, going around the table, I'm gonna start with you, Michelle.
I hate to see really, it's not even an additive mass, but it gives some sort of grounding to the building. Leave these large buildings, and I guess, with regard to it being next to the other gargantuan building, you probably won't see it, but I would like to see in the future, the plans that come in have a lot more variation. I'm really struggling with this, looking at it as one big giant 2-story wave of buildings. We need to mix it up.
I think what Dinah was promising here was saying that if we remove the porch here where it's gonna be less visible, it will show up someplace else where it's more visible.
But more than a porch, I think,
No, no,
has to start being
But
introduced,
so,
because
yeah,
by and large,
Stephen was
it's
here, we were talking about these chimneys, so I think that we will, I think as we progress into this,
Dormers.
we're gonna be required to
One-story.
do those kinds of things. Okay? But I'm sure you understand that. Is that it, Val?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Jesse?
Being that it's the back of the house and you already have a presence in the front, I'm okay with removing the porch, but I agree with Val's concern about the boxy effect, and maybe a backyard pergola might be something that would be allowed to break up that plane a little bit.
Attached to the building?
Yes. I'm not sure if,
As in extension, an open trellis type idea.
just a thought. It could be used as a nice backyard space.
Okay, Jesse, thank you. Abigail?
With Jesse, I think Val, I think that breaking up the back of even though you're going to use it again, I think breaking up these masses it's got to happen on each building to give it some identity. I just think to get away from that barrack look, I think we've got to add.
Understood. Why don't we do this? Can we do the smaller porch on the back? It's
Well,
still
that was,
How deep is it now?
It's the full 24.
Oh, you meant smaller or less?
I was
No.
looking at the hospital, and we did some pergolas on the Vesper, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Vesper.
Exactly.
And they're so short and they look so fake.
The pergolas?
She's talking about the
Yeah.
hospital.
Okay.
They're
I mean,
up now.
They're kind of stubby.
Yeah, and
They
I'm,
didn't have a lot of room.
Do we know like the dimensions of them? Or?
yeah, well, I would just say they're about even, 5, 6
6
feet
feet,
deep.
yeah.
They're not deep enough to register as a real architectural form. So I think if you shorten these, it's going to look even more superficial. So I'd rather see it done correctly, or,
Okay.
Okay, John?
Yeah, question. When's the last time you were here? What was the date?
Is it a
For this
19?
particular application was previously approved through staff on June 14th.
June? The last one I've got, the first one I got is July 26th.
Yes.
Today, we're on I, right?
Correct.
right here.
We're reviewing the I building right now.
I'm just saying, keep my thing straight too. Thank you.
Okay. So, it's looking like we wanna add something to this back in place of, hey, were you guys okay, seeing as the visibility is gonna be very limited and oblique, of the idea of getting rid of the door and allowing them to have a window because it's a bedroom?
Well, the porch doesn't
Yeah, it's the
really
back of the
read as
house.
a,
Well, but we're now, porch or pergola, to Jesse's point.
Well, how does that read? That doesn't, you have windows and a porch, but you can't go out on the porch.
No, but the pergola is more of a landscape element, just to
Yeah.
create dimension to the.
Yeah, and I would, I wouldn't go with the porch depth on that pergola.
I love, I've been impartial to pergolas, I like them more than the average person actually. But even like a 10-foot pergola,
10 or 12.
10 to 12, so you get, so it makes a real room outside. If
Yeah.
you don't enclose any space with it,
6 feet's gonna do nothing
Yeah.
except be a
a
facade.
10-foot pergola, but into the grass, it's just gonna be into the landscape lawn, it's not gonna be on an elevated piece of concrete or anything like that. To define space, I think is an option. I'd be happy to show you how that looks.
Do we wanna take a look at that? Pergola,
sure.
okay?
You may be able to use that on other areas too.
There've been a lot of suggestions about little sort of things that can mitigate the height. the
Okay,
verticality.
should we hold for revisions
Yeah.
to see if it is?
Okay, oh, yes, John.
Yeah, on the, you mentioned south. South elevation.
Yeah.
You took a door out, put a window in.
Right.
Yeah, and they also got rid of a porch, John.
Yeah.
If you look it over on the previously approved, you'll see that there used to be a porch there. So what we want them to do is go back and investigate some other options for that. So, did you already make a
I
motion?
did. Motion to hold
We're
for
gonna
revisions.
see this again, John. Okay, so all those in favor of Abby's motion to hold for some minor revisions?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, one down, actually two down. So now we're, 5.9.
Everyone should have I don't have those signed.
Okay, they're coming around.
We got number one.
That was.
Johnny.
Yeah, we got number one. So that was forward for review.
That one, I think. What is this?
That's like the master site plan. Same as those, just bigger.
Okay. Somebody's feeding
That's a
back.
site
I think
plan.
it might be me, John.
Site plan. Big, so you can
That's the
see
wrong
it.
way to go. I think the keeper's right above it.
I think they're all right.
Okay, well, we'll see. All right.
The I.1, which everyone should have, is located along
Okay,
Iron,
there's the feedback.
is located along Ironwood. And it was approved through staff and there were comments, but again, the reason we're here today is because we want to increase the size of the windows on the second floor
Okay.
and make some minor adjustments to the location. We haven't eliminated any porches.
Oh,
We-
thank God.
We haven't eliminated any entry doors. We,
Just walk us through. So
okay,
let's
so
go
if you wanna
elevation
start
by
with,
elevation.
what, west elevation?
East is first.
Oh, east.
East is first, yeah.
Okay, so on the east elevation, the 4 windows,
5.1.
actually, it'll be
It's
all
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 6 windows on the second floor will be an A window.
Got it.
On the south elevation, instead of having those funny little windows off to the left, they will all be 3, A windows, 6 A
Yep.
windows.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, going to the west elevation, again, it's just spread out a little bit more due to the floor plan changes, but it is a little bit more balanced. So it's the same number of windows.
Oh, so John, we're on the west elevation, right?
Right here.
So now, if you look at the side wings on the west elevation, the previous one, you see that the side windows are in closer. They're moving them further out. You see that?
Yeah, but they're all highlighted here though?
Yeah.
They're called-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got you right.
Okay. All right. Keep going, guys.
This
And
is
then,
1.1 is on the map, right?
Yeah.
The 1.1 is blue.
Correct.
It is light blue,
And
correct.
then on Irish Place, it's blue.
It's on Ironwood, yes.
I'm gonna get the right one.
Yeah, correct.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, on
Here, they gave you a big one.
Oh, I can see. There you go.
Okay, and then finally, on the north elevation, we were asked to, if you look at the previously presented elevation, we had 2 small D windows to the right, we made them 2 A windows. And the door that we were proposing, it is a faux door to the front street, or to the entry.
Oh, gosh, I understand now why you did what you did. With the single side light.
Right,
Why?
Well, because they don't have room to put a side light on the other side, but they want to have glass.
a little bit of light.
You can't, oh,
Yeah, what
what?
No, so the door you're looking at on the north elevation is a faux door, right? And
Correct.
so they wanted to get some glass in.
It used to be a
What
window.
were you about to say? Because, you know, it's back to this, you don't want to have a porch with no door leading to the porch.
I totally get it, but this door had glass in it.
Which
Right,
door?
right, but one of the comments were to put
Oh.
a solid door there with a side light. And that's what,
Yeah,
I think
I
you're
don't
better
think
off-
that's,
This
better off-
this is sideways looking.
yeah, I'm not fond of it myself. I
Okay.
like what we had
I
previously.
think we should stick with that. Well, but I'm just one person. So
no,
we're
I
gonna go
mean,
around.
it,
One side light is really, really
Yeah.
atypical. I can't think of any instance where we would prove that.
Yeah.
Abby, what do you think?
What about,
Are you okay going back to that door?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay. All right. And what about what?
No, I was gonna suggest putting in, windows above, but,
Oh, you mean okay.
yeah, like a transom,
Or how
but,
about just a dynamo?
We may get some pushback from
Yeah.
other members of the board on that one.
That's
Yeah.
more of a back.
Is that the extent of your, you were gonna be next anyway?
Sorry, yeah, that's my extent.
Okay, Val Oliver.
I like the previous faux door with
Yeah.
the 6 light glass.
Okay.
And I just wanted to ask, are the Bs in this one changing to As for the same reason? So
Yes,
are we changing the numbers on these windows even though they're circled as Bs?
yes, they will all be,
Yeah,
become A
so if we
windows.
make a motion on this, we should say that the Bs are gonna will become A windows. Okay,
Right.
is that it, Val?
Yeah.
Okay, John?
We're-
You wanna know where it is?
No, this I building right here on Rocket Place, we just done that one, right?
Yeah, we did I, now we're on
The
I.1.
G, this one here,
Yeah, we just finished this one and we just,
this one. Okay.
that one and that one are finished.
Those two.
Come back here.
John, you okay?
Yeah, it takes me a while to catch on, that's
No,
all.
that's all right. We got time. All right, so I think that we're ready for a motion here, if somebody would do me that favor.
Motion to approve.
No, John, we're gonna do, a few things with that motion, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
One is, don't do the side light. They added one side light, not two. So we wanna go to the previously approved door that they had approved before. No side light. And was there something
B's
else?
to A's.
Oh, yeah, and all the B windows that they've circled are gonna be A's, just like all the other windows. and they said that that's fine.
The door is 6 panel.
The door, the previously
Six
approved door was like a 4 panel with a glass up above.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but no side light. All right, the side light goes away.
That's
So-
on the north, Terry.
Okay, so it sounds like we've got a motion. All those in favor of John's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. All right, next up,
Thank you.
I.2.
5.2, again, all of the upper windows on the second floor there will be no more B windows, there will all be A. So
Okay.
north, east, south, and west will all be A windows.
Hang on a minute, I've got a plan.
Oh, I
Thank you.
apologize.
Thank you. Oh, you know it, I don't. You gotta explain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I see where it's going.
Is this the I.2?
Yeah, it's right next to the I.
It's the dark green between the
Where you-
blue jay and the I.3.
Okay. So its location might or might not be relevant. So you're changing the B's to A's?
Correct, that's just a general comment. And then, one of the, comments by the, HDC, I thought it was to delete the rakes. We used to have the rakes that returned, and now they're all of that is gone, all those returns are deleted. We used to have like,
Yeah, yeah, like
returns
like a,
that we have on the more monumental buildings.
yeah.
Yeah, so those are done, actually, that revision was
Thank you.
requested on all the I
That
buildings.
was done before, right. But so I'm looking at a previously approved north, and you have done a little bit of moving around here. So
Right.
rather than it being 5 bays plus the little tiny window at the end, it's now 4 bays, all A windows. See the difference? Okay, so that's one, and then,
And on the east elevation, we changed the 2 small C windows to 2 large, the large
yeah,
A windows.
always an improvement.
What elevation was that?
That was east, John.
East, number 2,
Where's it down? This one. Okay.
so the
Thank you.
previous is to the right and the proposed is to the left.
So, now in this particular one, the south, you are in, oh,
Now the
mm,
south, okay, we had a window in the middle of the bump out. But on a subsequent comment was to propose 4 windows on the south elevation of the back of the bump out. So we liked it, it works well in plan, and just thought it looked better on this building as well.
I would agree with that.
Versus the one
Yeah, the
middle kind of.
Cyclopean window.
Correct, the Cyclopean. So the south elevation, and then we're just showing the mechanical pad, so we would like to propose 1 C window over the mechanical pad, and I don't, is that a bathroom?
Yeah.
And that is a
Right,
bathroom
Oh,
as well.
giving up on so many of those other little windows. Okay, and then the last.
And then the
I
last
think
elevation is the west
is an
elevation.
improvement too, 'cause it's more symmetrical.
Right.
Although
Having-
I gotta tell you something. At first blush, it appears symmetrical, but it's your portico and the window above it are off center.
They are off center because the marriage line, of the what is it, the pre-manufactured
Yeah, the module.
yeah, the module is in the way there. So it is off center, but I could shift the porch to dead center.
But like the window above the porch would have to remain above the door, right?
Right, but the porch would move slightly to the left just to take up maybe a little bit more of this space, maybe something like that. Just to extend this way with the,
Yeah, well, let's see if it's a concern.
So this would come up.
and also, on this previously approved west elevation, we we added a third bay window. Before we had 2 windows on the, gable end, and now there's 3. So I think it's an improvement.
West,
Correct, the west
Oh,
elevation.
yeah, definitely. Could you show John the previously approved up there in the corner so he sees what we're comparing it to?
1, 2 on this gable end,
right?
and now it should show 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3
I
windows.
moved that one a little over.
Right, and then this became more central, slightly shifted to the center of the entry porch. And then there's 2 windows here, and we got rid of these little windows and just recentered these 2 big windows. And made them all A's.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, John.
They move it like 2 feet over.
Add 2 feet on, yeah, so it's symmetrical, all right. Val, what do you think?
I think all in all, the changes are positive. I'm sorry that there's so much glass gone from the north side, but I don't see how you can easily resolve that, so.
So much glass going from the
Well,
north.
it's
Oh,
4 windows are taken out. So there's some big space there, but
I guess I was happy to see those little windows go.
yeah,
It almost looked like the end of the building shrank.
yeah. So it's not a game buster.
Okay. And so that resolution to the asymmetry on the other one, was that the west elevation?
Oh, I think it's fine. I think the window should be centered over the porch, and I don't care if it's dead center on the gable.
Okay, all right.
So extend the gable?
Well, no,
I'm saying I
She's
like
saying
it the
leave
way
it the
she
way it
has
is.
it.
because Abby was drawing it kind of moving over so the porch was centered, but then the window and the door wouldn't be centered.
Maybe it accentuates it.
What do you think, Jesse?
Sorry, I already closed up. I wasn't concerned about it.
Okay.
The only thing that came out, and I wasn't concerned about it either, is that the porch got smaller.
On the west?
On the,
Actually, you're correct, it did get smaller.
9'4" and the proposed is 9'4" and the previous was, I don't have a dimension on it.
Abby's about to
Like
get it.
13,
Yeah.
13 on this.
Yeah, I think it's fine either way, so, but something I picked up on.
Okay. John, what do you think?
One question on south elevation, you previously approved, then going to the request for an approval here. The mechanical
Yeah,
is not on the previous one.
right, they added it, which is why they had to make that one.
Okay, it wasn't highlighted, that's why. All right, looking at the 3 windows on the first floor, the left window, there are 3 A windows. Why couldn't the C window become the same A? It wouldn't interfere with the,
It would run into the mechanical thing. See the mechanical, that,
by looking at where it is here, at the bottom of the second one in, the A,
yeah.
that wouldn't interfere with the mechanical.
Oh, you're saying it, well,
It's
also in
actually,
a bathroom.
over
I'm saying that the height of
a
it.
water closet it's on a outside, it's a plumbing wall too, there's a toilet there in plan, it's a bathroom.
We had to enlarge the bathroom to make it ADA accessible.
There's no reason for it, thank you.
okay. So, I could sort of go either way on this porch deal on the west elevation, but I think in this case, I'd like to take up Abby's suggestion, because then we're back to the same porch width that we had previously approved.
Okay.
And I think in general, in this project, more porch is a good thing. So I would be willing to approve it with the porch being symmetrical on the gable and being its former width, which was 13 feet. Was there anything else? I think the rest of it was okay. Somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
All right, so John's made a motion to approve with the porch on the west elevation being centered on the gable and back to its original approved width of,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
original approved width of 13 feet. All those in favor of John's motion? Aye. Okay, last one.
That microphone towards you, I think that might be the one.
Show one large site plan,
Motion, so I can write it?
One second. Okay, so on the west elevation, we're going to center the porch on the gable end, and it's going to be 13 feet, which was the previously approved width rather than the 9.
Okay,
Okay,
that's it?
that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Finally, we're going to look at the I.3, which is the light building above the pink G.
Okay.
And the revisions there are very similar to the I.2. If you start with the elevations, we'll go around. We'll start with the south elevation is the same floor plan, except mirror rotated. So we deleted the 2 small windows and moved the 4 windows to the right of the porch into 2 windows. We extended the porch on the west elevation. That was a comment, right, to be approved with staff. And so that has been extended to be, you can see previously it was just around the corner. Now
Like that.
it goes over 1 more window.
Looks good.
We changed all the windows on the building to be A's, except we have 1 C window above the mechanical.
Just like the previous.
Exactly, just like in
Okay.
previous. And then on the north elevation, we adjusted the sort of cyclopean singular
Oh,
gables
yep,
to the
okay,
to
so
the 4.
really very similar to the other.
Very similar.
Okay.
And then finally, on the east elevation, instead of 4 small windows, we did the 2 A windows.
Say that again, please.
Yeah.
On the previously approved east elevation, we had 4 D, which are small, like the small D
Oh.
windows.
They say C though.
Or are they Cs?
They say C, but.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
C.
but you took 4 tiny windows, you made them bigger windows.
Mhm.
It looks like you also added, rather than
Tighter.
having 2 bays in the main gable, you have 3 bays.
You're right, I missed that
Okay,
one.
so basically, yeah.
Looks better.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so let's see. I guess we don't need to append that same condition about the porch on this one since they're happening. Somebody wanna make a motion?
Motion to approve, as submitted.
Okay, all those in favor of Jesse's motion to approve as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
want some of this?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now we're on to old business. John's gonna help us out, John Hedman's gonna help us out with our, what the boards were.
Okay, this is gonna be Camp, Oliver, and Dutra.
All right. Anybody here for 46 Hummock Pond?
Yep.
Good. So, your board tonight is Abby, Val, and Jesse. Okay, now do we recall who's chairing this?
Diane was.
Diane was, so can one of you step up to that on that one?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Would you like to start?
Yeah, so I think last time you guys wanted me to change the arrangement of the pool and the shed. Because the pool was exposed to the main road. So I put the shed in front of it, so it'll be blocked out, and the pool in the yard, and the pool in the back.
That's on that plan.
Yeah, we don't have that, we have the old one.
Oh.
Wait, so do you have this one?
Yeah, so that's how we had it before with the shed
What he's
behind
got
the
there
pool.
is what is being proposed. John, is there any other?
Just hold it up so we can see it.
It's trays, so it's hard to.
Yeah. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, John, hold on one second.
That's approval.
Okay.
John,
Is there, can I put windows on the back side, on the
John,
shed I
you want-
have submitted? I don't think I have any windows in the back. Can I put like two?
I want to be able to tell from
Fix-
that drawing.
Or
Oh,
this
because
one.
it's on this one.
Yeah, I think you guys have this one, the shed drawing.
It's got no windows.
Yeah. You want it kept like that?
No,
So
I
it's
think
not-
windows will be, it's on, and that'll be on
The new
the
yeah.
roadside or?
The roadside, correct.
Yeah, I think.
I
windows
think
make
it
sense.
should have windows.
And can we approve?
So I got just two fixed
Yes.
small windows.
All right.
nice.
Is that
I
right?
would say, motion to approve with the exhibit As that he
Yep.
has through staff.
With windows.
Can you print those up
Yes,
and add
definitely.
them to the
Yeah, and it
application?
has windows.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
We need to see what those are though.
Yep.
And maybe, yeah, we have to write exhibit A on those.
Oh, so
Okay.
one is for the shed and one is for the pool. So motion to approve both per what he brought in tonight
Okay.
through staff with John.
Thank you, Val.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Is that for both?
Yeah,
Yes.
for both. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Okay, Ethan, 7 Walsh.
Yeah, you can check them out. Yeah. I'll check them tomorrow. All right, thanks.
We're wondering what my board is on this, because Stephen left.
We're all wondering. We're about to find out.
Paul Camp Oliver.
There you
Is it
go.
possible I could hold this for next week
Yes,
when
you
Stephen's
want.
here?
Yeah.
For first of next week?
Motion to hold for till next week?
I will say next week is new business and we have about 100 applications.
This, yeah, but I like need him on it. We've been here since September, so.
You
So
sure you
it's
wanna do
commission's
that?
choice.
Yeah.
I'm just informing.
I talked to my
commission we have
clients,
100
they know.
applications.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, did you make a motion?
I said a motion to hold for next week, but it's going to be a long, so it's probably gonna go to Thursday.
This should, if it's first, it should be quick because it's basically, I made all the plans, I want Stephen to be on it though.
Did you say it's gonna be first? Is it?
Up to you. Next week, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Okay.
commission would like to vote that way.
We can add that to it.
All right, so let's do that.
Thank you.
Motion to hold and have it heard first next week.
Okay, all those in favor of Abby's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, 31 North Pasture. Hello. How you doing?
It's from the-
Did you do this?
I did. Is this all sandwiched together?
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Is this two, John, or one?
Those are yours, because
Oh,
we're
okay, you're not on it. Do you wanna look at it anyway?
3 of them in a row?
Beautiful, Val.
There we go.
I put Val down.
Paul Camp Oliver Dutra.
Full Camp, Oliver, Dutra. Now, do you have anything further, like by way of revisions or anything, or is this a discussion about?
There are, so everything that's bubbled are revisions. So the cupola
Okay,
is
so
now smaller.
Were
And
those
here's
revisions that
from
we
North Pasture, the
Were those
poles.
were those revisions that we saw last time, or are these fresh?
Fresh, because we
They're
made it even
fresh.
smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The dormer is now, oh, sorry, do you want me just list the
Do we have that stuff yet, John? Is this it?
Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry, I'm looking at the pretty picture.
That's from North Pasture
From
Road.
you,
Oh, these are.
from John?
Oh, that's not from the Moors?
No, that's from the
Okay, yeah, I
Moors.
thought so.
That's from North Pasture Lane.
Okay, so, da-da-da. Check my board again. Alright. So,
Nice.
I think these revisions look pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Reduction in the cupola. We've added some posts to connect the metal arbor down to the deck, cantilever deck. Instead of those big huge windows, you have rolling windows. Everybody following along with this?
Yeah.
Pretty
And the
pretty
dormer is
straight.
also inset now, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Yeah.
flush.
Much better.
Right, yeah. Okay,
This faces in, I think.
that faces to the, moors. This faces to the moors, south, yeah.
The moors
North
are west.
faces into the property. Here, I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
So,
that.
so, you know,
Yeah,
north is
okay.
that way, so that south elevation, this is all moorland down here. Okay? Val, have you had a chance to digest?
Yeah, I think the changes are favorable. I, do believe that the south won't be seen. I took that panoramic picture and, identified what I could see for buildings, and what unfortunately nobody has brought in is that there is this swath of North Pasture Association property behind it before the Conservation Foundation.
But the foundation goes right up to the backyard.
It does, but you're never gonna see it. I'm convinced you're never gonna see
You
it.
can walk right up, legally,
right
you can
here?
walk right up to that point, yeah.
Yeah, we have it labeled on the last sheet.
However, having seen the poles from North Pasture, the photos that are around here somewhere, I think it's pretty evident we're gonna see it. The building itself.
Well, it's funny, cause oh, from North Pasture.
Yeah, from the
Oh,
street.
okay.
Yeah, here's
Got
this,
it.
I think, John, you saw this, right? Okay.
All right, so do you have any further comments on that?
I think most of the changes are favorable. To see this at night, who knows, it might look like a beacon up there. But from the roof down, I think you'd be okay. And actually, I think if you got rid of that dormer right here and just kept the cupola, it would be fine.
Thank you. Jesse?
I think it's definitely going in the right direction. I'm not too sure if it would work, but on the west and east side, the cupola looks a little pointy.
Little what?
Kind of pointy, just
Okay.
a little narrow. And I don't know if, from a dimension standpoint, if you could make that a little wider so it sits better on the east and west, and you keep the same dimensions on the north and south. Just a thought.
Okay, so it'd be a rectangle, not a square.
Right.
But, okay, I see what you're saying.
Just a thought. I mean, it's kind of crazy to make it bigger, but it looks from the east and west, it looks just a little narrow.
And there's some 3D views in here too. If anyone wants to see those, page 4.
From what view?
3D.
Yeah, it just shows the scale of the cupola against the rest of the building.
Oh, nice.
And I think in three-dimensionally it doesn't look as pointy.
No, you're right.
Are they big like that?
Should be.
Maybe
It's HTC4 on the bottom.
Jesse, had you concluded?
Yeah, not looking at it 3D, I'm not sure how good that would look. But,
So maybe don't make it wider.
yeah, I'll leave it to the architects on the board to.
That would be great.
Thanks.
Or architects and home designers.
When I went up there, I actually was a little lost, so I ended up like driving right up to the driveway by mistake and meeting the neighbors, so, the clients. So I got kind of the grand tour, and I was standing there, and I looked to the right, and I saw the other buildings that sort of make they're on the same line as they are, and I didn't see, the poles didn't look any higher than anything that is there. So I kind of had the feeling, then I looked over the edge and saw that there's going to be brush, there's a lot of vegetation. So in fact, I was kind of appeased that I think it's going to be okay. I don't have anything to add.
Thank you. So, just so you all know, because this was a very troubling kind of thing for me about the question of what our visibility is from Nantucket Conservation Foundation land. So John Hedden had put in a request to Pucci, Town Council, to come up with a reading of this. And it's actually fascinating to hear this. So HCC, as we know, has jurisdiction over exterior architectural features. From the following places, it's specifically called out. Open to view from a beach, which this isn't, a public way, a traveled way, a street or way shown on a land court plan or shown on a plan recorded in the Registry of Deeds. That's not this, okay? I'm whittling this down. The Proprietor's Road, that's not this. A street or way shown on a plan approved and endorsed in accordance with subdivision control law, that's not this. A public park or public body of water. Now, this is a park, in quotes. It's not a public park because Nantucket Conservation Foundation is a private organization, okay? So, he goes further to define what a public way is and what a traveled way is. And so, a public way, in what he calls the generally accepted plain meaning, this is legal speak now, says the ordinary plain meaning of the term public way set forth, and then there's a case precedent that he mentions, as a way which has become public in character in one of three ways. Laid out in the manner prescribed by statute, no, not this. Dedication and acceptance as a public way prior to 1846, no, not this. But, here's the one, by something called prescription, which means the uninterrupted and continuous public use for 20 years. Now, I've lived here for 27 years, and I've been using all of that Nantucket conservation land for recreation in many, many different ways, as have many, many thousands of people. So this, I'm convinced that this language says that we as a board are entitled to review things that are visible from Conservation Foundation, because the fact is, by prescription, the fact that this land has been traveled publicly, continuously, and uninterruptedly for 20 years allows us to take that liberty. Okay.
Well, and to back that up, their mission statement says, these areas are currently used and enjoyed by the public for education and passive recreation purposes.
Correct. And the land bank is, not the land bank, the Conservation Foundation is quick to say, well, it's private property. Nobody disputes that. It is private property, but the difference between foundation land and like my house is the public isn't granted access to walk around my yard at their leisure. That's the big, huge difference. So all of that is to say that thank you for hearing all that, that I still consider this to be large and incongruous, given the fact that I could literally walk right up to the property line of this thing and look at
This
it.
was
So
just,
that's all I wanted to
just
say.
something I found from the
So,
Conservation Foundation.
well, I probably will, but you know, you guys are responsible adults. So that's all I have to say about it.
Well, then, are the poles still up?
Yep.
Maybe I'll walk back in there and stand right here.
And I have some photos.
Because I
of
only
the
went to
poles,
here.
Well, the point of all that whole big thing was the hunters don't stay on the roads out there, the dirt paths. They don't do that. They walk all around in the scrub and everything. So it is publicly traveled way, you know, so there's that.
To my point that the other houses that are on the same ridge look out and they're already there, so.
No, but I think the fact that this is so
3
large as seen from
stories.
the back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tall as seen from the back. And there are elements about it, like the metal cantilever deck and all that are completely
But
incongruous.
the garage doors are not gonna be seen.
They would, well, no, they would be if, the garage doors are on the south side or the north side?
South side.
All
south
sides.
side.
South side, then I'd be able to see them.
So I actually have some other photos here.
They're on
These
both,
are their
so-
current ridge poles.
Can I
So
go
the
with you?
garage door
Yeah,
Can we go
is
together?
You have to
down
hike.
here, where the existing
I'm
shed
good
and
on that.
pergola is.
I'll bring my mountain bike.
Wear your orange.
Yeah, that's true.
I kept saying, I am not a
Listen,
deer.
I don't want to belabor the point that I'm making, but
Let's just
the
hold it for
point
one
is-
more
the
view,
point
though.
is that
Because-
I could literally walk, given that language, right, the legal language, I could literally walk right up to the back property line of this property and look in. I could.
But it's
So,
not
and when I
really,
do,
it's not
when I
really the
do that,
height of it.
I'm gonna
it's
see
the-
the three-story thing and the metal deck.
It's
and
not really
all.
the height, it's the material and
It's
it's the
kind of the whole
fenestration
thing.
and it's the.
Oh,
it's
you're
the-
saying
that it's
from your
the-
perspective?
Yes, well, no, I'm just saying that what you're going to see from that public way, now that we're gonna call it sort of not a public way, but a place where
I
the
believe
public.
that is,
So-
I believe that is the terminology.
The public way trail, you can see right on
Let's
here.
skip the trails, because
There,
the
the
entire,
public way.
okay,
Here,
public way. And by the way, if Chip's interested, I can get him all that language.
Okay, yeah.
I'd like to have a copy of that. You can go all the way to
So
here.
that's the path and the
What?
property is right here. So
Correct.
between the neighbors, trees and stuff, you really won't be able
No.
to see that.
Yeah, but he's saying, I went to like
So here's my
here.
question, you kept,
We
you
could go
passed up on
right
the
to
travel.
here and
What?
see if we could
I'm-
see it.
I'm cutting off.
Oh, I
the
see.
travel.
Because
So
the
it's
red,
not just this part.
Traveled
Okay.
way does
Right.
not apply.
So
because
we
a
wanna
traveled
just
way
go
is
and see what we
defined
can
as like
see
a
from there.
roadway,
Okay.
something that's laid out.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't have to meet the criteria for a traveled way. It has to meet one of any of the criteria. It could be a waterway, you
Maybe
know.
I should just be clear about if you're talking about coming right up to the back of the property, because this parcel right here, this is privately owned.
Correct, but
But there is a rutted way which was shown on a land court plan.
we wanna
Where's
go
the subject property?
to right,
So you'd have jurisdiction from that rutted way.
Okay,
right
so
here.
I'd be able to see it from 30 feet away.
But I wanna go to right here.
Yeah, well, that's where you
Yeah.
can legally go, yeah. All right,
All right, motion to hold
You-
for
you
one
want
more
this?
view.
Yes,
sorry, can you just pass that down? And anybody else that wants a copy, let me know, I'll email it.
yes,
Thank
please.
you. Let's see, that was yours, right?
Now, do you want to
Next
hold
up,
on to these personally, or do you
12
want them back in
Menina.
the box?
Yeah, okay, so can we skip over him?
Oh, man.
Motion,
Can I-
who is it?
It's Self, I don't know who it is. But, yeah, so, but we'll just skip over
What
until
number
he
is
comes
it?
back. It's item number
Oh.
5.
Motion to hold item number 5
Until he comes
until he
back,
comes
great.
back.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we're on to number 6. That would be you, Ben. Okay,
And the neighbor's opposition.
yes, yes.
What's happening? North Pasture. You're holding,
Holding for
one more
viewing,
view.
another viewing.
all right, how about Kimball Avenue? Lenina.
Kimball, well,
He went out of the
Diana
room.
Kimball, he just left the room. He's coming back. As soon as he comes back, as soon as he comes back, we'll go back to that. But right now, John, we're at 29 Walsh. Okay, board on this one?
Old Camp Watterson Duke Truck.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I've got it on it.
Would you like a nut?
Well, it's good to have TJ on some of this.
Sometimes you feel like
Came
a
all
nut.
the way out on election night to hang
Thank
with
you.
us.
Ready? Oh, she's a nut.
All right.
But she's a good.
I haven't voted yet.
I voted 5 times over.
Vote early, vote
Get out of
often.
here early, I'm gonna start for
Organizing and with
6.
my
The
unbelievable-
blue wave.
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what do you do, Ben?
Alright, so, we were knocking on the door last meeting, but we did have a couple small changes that we wanted to make before the end. And, the first being that the little pent roof on the east elevation, the comment had been previously that where the shingle of the roof meets the shingled wall was too low from the windows above, so we raised that pent roof.
Okay.
And then on the, yeah, so we just raised it up. And then on the north elevation, we kind of, that rear dormer had been an issue in that the meeting rail wasn't meeting, and the window just, there was too much space between the head casing of that door and the bottom of that window. So I brought that whole dormer down 6 inches, to tighten that up and to correct that meeting rail.
Okay.
And also then on the next page, and similar to that north elevation, on the west elevation, I've narrowed that dormer by another 6 inches so that we have more of a break in that north elevation.
Which one are you on?
On the west elevation. So instead, it was a foot before, it's now
Oh,
18
yeah, it's like
inches.
18.
So now
Right.
that also dropped the ridge just a little bit more, so that there's more difference
Ben,
between.
can I ask you something?
Sure.
Is it now kind of like sort of almost a salt box, but not quite?
No, it's a
These are,
symmetrical.
it is?
Yep.
Okay, so then how come that eve is it
That one just
down?
drops a little lower, so I guess that elevation.
Oh,
the-
this is a
Right,
salt box. 'cause
right, I
This
guess so.
tent comes down lower than
Yep.
that side. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And that was it.
Okay. Linda, what do you think of this new design?
The neighbors are still radically concerned, and as the author of the Blair Point area plan myself, that was accepted by the town, it's an overwrought garage. When you go into the interior, a lot of my neighbors, and I appreciate the changes made to the house, but a lot of the neighboring properties are pretty small, cottagey, things like that. What's happened to the house isn't so different than what's happened on one and the numbers those other two I sent you to look at. But this garage is unlike anything in the neighborhood, completely. There's a lot of design features to it that shouldn't be approved. It should just be a simple, low garage. There's too much going on this lot for such a small lot, and the neighbors are pretty insignificant houses, and the ones, my clients at 31, my other clients, at 31, 33, 35, have basically one-story houses, and they're simple cottages, which is what the Grand Point area plan asked to be maintained. This is just over-stylized, over-designed. I mean, it looks like a little teeny-weeny garage with additive massing, which is not normal down on that part of the Grand Point. It's not even normal all the way around Grand Point. So it's acting like it's a separate cottage. I know it's a studio as opposed to a full-fledged dwelling, but it looks like a dwelling. It acts like a dwelling. It's got design features as if it's a dwelling. The neighbors are absolutely 100% opposed. It needs to simplify, it needs to come down in height, and it needs to stop all the agitation with multiple dormers, additive massing at a big addition out one side. It's just not an appropriate structure. I'd ask you all to go back down there and drive up and down Willard and Walsh, and even down Easton and Hulbert, and take a look at some of these smaller ancillary structures. This is just overdone for this lot, given what they've expanded the existing house to.
Thank you, Linda. Can I ask a question about that? I mean, it's kind of a semantic question. Is this lot entitled to a second dwelling?
It's on water and sewer.
Yeah, I mean.
All right.
They'd have to allow for the parking, they'd have to add extra parking spaces.
But, you know, I mean, so there's no proscription from having a second dwelling on this property. Now, in fact, this is not, but, you know, it could be. And if it came in to us as a secondary dwelling, it would fall well within our restriction of like 22 feet high, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to ask to see if there was, you know, because some lots have that proviso that they're not entitled to a second dwelling.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's some deed restriction I don't know about, but
All
I
right.
did bring in the streetscape that we looked at last time, but I didn't update.
Okay, well, why don't you show everybody?
So,
'Cause, you know, we've seen this before.
Yeah, I mean, I updated the elevation because it changed a little bit.
Okay.
But, and the house, you know, a little changes to the house. So, you know, this is Willard, not Walsh.
Yeah.
The front doors on the.
Got it.
So, this is,
Yep.
this house, and this is this house. So, you know, we're just kissing 20 feet with this house. It is much lower than the main house. It's much lower than the neighbor's house, and it's slightly lower than this cottage on the other side. So it's, you know, it's in the rhythm of the street. It doesn't tower over any building.
Can you hold it up just?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, this was asked for at the first meeting.
Right.
And these traces are taken from the floodplain elevation certificate, so this is pretty darn accurate. to what-
Okay.
Can I add
Linda,
something?
yeah.
Architecturally, it has no relevance to the existing house, or what you've been approved for doing to the existing house, or the other two that we talked about down the road around the corner that were blown up to this, nor my 31, 33, 35, nor my other clients' houses. It's too much for this lot. Simplify the structure and just make it a garage. Box it,
But-
basically, box it, like a lot of them are
Let's
down
just,
there.
I guess my point earlier was, what if they said, hell, I don't really want a garage. I think I'll just go for the second dwelling.
They're gonna have trouble with the parking,
Yeah,
because they won't get a second curb cut.
I'm just saying, Linda, okay.
I will, and.
From a zoning perspective, we're not talking about zoning. We're talking about this structure on this lot, whether it's a secondary dwelling or whether it's a garage, studio, exercise room, or office.
Right.
It's not an appropriate structure for this lot, given where it is, given with the Brant Point area plan, and given how overwrought the design is, opposed to just a simple square garage, which I don't think anybody would have a lot of trouble with.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, so we have Abby on this, TJ, and Jesse. So I can go right down the line. Abby, I will start with you if you don't
Well,
mind.
I just, I'm looking at the site plan and
Yeah.
I see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 garages that I can't tell exactly the size of these, but it looks in keeping with what is already on Walsh and Willard. So what I'd like to know is what are the size of these garages? Can you see the numbers on them?
I'd like you to go back and look at them, then they're simple.
I can go back, I can talk.
There are a few that have 2 stories.
There are.
But
I
they're
mean,
square, they're pretty much nondescript.
But it seems to be, right in this neighborhood, there seems to be so many of them. I'm not saying I'll call for another view, but I'm just saying they do exist.
They do,
No,
but
in the
they're tiny,
neighborhood.
small, one-story structures a lot.
So I just wanna make sure that they're in keeping.
You know,
Thank you. I think Abby's sort of leaning in the direction of viewing, scrutinizing those two streets a little bit more for context. Is that correct?
Yes, I'd like to
Summation.
too, because I haven't had a chance to do
All
that.
right, so let's hear what TJ and Jesse have to say. TJ, you
Yeah,
first.
I appreciate the changes that you made. That's what we asked for. I know there are other garages down there, but I think this is slightly larger than most of them. But I do appreciate Ray's way of thinking in that if it's by right allowed the second dwelling, I mean, somebody could put a second dwelling probably larger than this, or propose it anyway. I'm not too concerned about it.
It's not a secondary dwelling, is it?
No.
He understands that. Okay, thank you, TJ. Jesse?
Yeah, I appreciate the changes. It's come a long way. I mean, back when it was had a balcony over the garage door. And based on its massing, I mean, I feel like it's fairly simple, but would be happy to view it with Abby down the road as well.
Thank you. Which I think is a great idea. The other thing that just occurred to me, Ben, have you ever thought about taking the gable and having a gable forward?
Well, we did think about that. And when you view it, you'll find that this gable on the street is very imposing. This height, you get the full 28 feet of this building. To have the eave on the road it actually, I feel like it flows its way into the street a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I mean, then this is an eve forward too.
Right,
And
the
the
house
house
is.
that this accompanies is eve forward. I was just thinking because sometimes it makes something feel a little bit less impactful when you have the gable because you're not looking at the full ridge line from the street.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the extent of my comments.
Motion to hold for one more view.
Okay, that sounds good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you both.
All right, thanks.
All right. Okay. So let's move back to which one do we skip? What? 12 Nanina. Is that you? Okay. So I don't think we need to motion to move back to that, right? We don't need to move to.
Just held for.
Yeah, we
just held it till you
show
came
up.
back. There you are.
Yeah. Board on this one?
Bull, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver,
I think I'll need a nut for
and
this
Watterson
one.
or Dutra.
Wait. Cole, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver,
And either.
Watterson, or Dutra. Gosh, you were both on the last one. TJ, it's you.
Okay.
Oh, man. That's some good.
That's this.
Yeah. So that's the picture from both 12 and 10 Aina Drive. You can see both houses and where the fence will be.
Wow, this is great. Well, is this from a drone?
Yeah, that's from the drone. Because the pictures that I had previously wasn't clear enough, and also in these pictures you can see the greenery at the end where I said that in between the houses where the fence will finish. On both sides we already have greenery. Obviously it's not the best time to show, but I think I added another picture where you can, from the drone, where you can see closer look and where you can see the greenery on both sides of the houses.
Can you remind me why we held this?
Because the pictures that I have was from the street view from here, and it
Oh.
wasn't clear how it's
Okay.
gonna look like
Mm-hmm.
from both houses' perspective. So I did the pictures and the drawings from the drones where you can see.
What are you doing?
It keeps making that noise.
I'm sure it's John.
John, is your hearing aid messing with that?
I thought we were being thrown out the window.
Me too.
All right. Thank you.
There you go.
I'm gonna vote that the HTC get a drone. This makes it so clear.
Yeah.
Not
It's nice.
pretty,
And in being
Revealing.
clear, are any concerns assuaged?
I have less concerns, but Val, you go first, you're better on this.
No, I think, I appreciate you showing us exactly where it's going, and where it's going, I don't have a problem with.
Okay, thank you, Val. All right, so, John, what do you think?
Pass it a moment, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we do have Jesse. Actually, we don't have Jesse, we have TJ on it.
I really appreciate the drone photography. It gives us a clear idea, and that the vegetation will stay there once the fence is put in, right?
Vegetation, one will be right at the end. We're gonna have a privet, but we have already on both sides of the houses. I believe you should see, I think in the last picture, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be added. We have already greenery on the side of the house and on this side, but the deer strayed it off, so
Yeah.
you barely have like stay here and stay here, but we have like bushes going one side and other side.
Sure.
I was just gonna say something for you.
Yeah, I think it looks good. It might be good to get, like Val's always saying, about every third panel, get some plantings
Yeah.
along the.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
have a lot of greenery going there with the sewer, and then where the last post will be, that's where already we have greenery here, and it goes
Okay,
all the way
it's a
up.
little different. So, Stephen, Val, and John have been working on, some overall kind of recommendations, particularly regarding fencing. One thing that, so with board fencing, we have panels. What they wanna see is just a little bit of like some kind of, ivy or something that
Yeah.
will grow up the, so it doesn't need to be big,
Yeah.
but it just needs to happen every couple of panels, so it's just not gonna be a wide expansive wood.
Well,
That's
then,
all.
from our side, it's gonna be we're sure gonna do some roses on the one side.
Right. And what
That's what we
we're
have.
concerned about is what's visible from the public way.
Okay. From the, because both houses are on the angle, so pretty much all you're gonna see just the front post. So, and that will be covered with a privet.
Okay.
And because both
Good.
houses standing.
I went and looked.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Spot
Everybody
on.
satisfied
Okay.
with that?
All right, motion to approve.
There we go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing in the new plan.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem.
All right, so now we are on to 2080 Old Point Road.
Oh, sorry, could you say your name for the record?
Raymond.
Okay.
Raymond.
Okay, can you spell it? Just for the tape, sorry.
Raymond, R-A-Y-M-O-N-D. Yeah.
Did you?
And your last name, sorry.
Russ,
That's mine.
R-A-S-C-I-S.
I see the irony.
Come on up, Matt.
Here's the other Ray.
It wasn't ironic, it was
No.
serendipitous.
Serendipitous.
Synchronicity.
Synchronicitous.
Something.
Hello.
I was off this last week, then I'm not on it this week.
Welcome,
Is
Matt.
he cooled down? Is he cooled down or is he still hot-headed?
This is Old Camp and Welch.
That's, oh God.
Black Russian.
Actually, we heard.
It's a black.
No, we don't need it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I did take
hey, so
pictures
welcome
today.
back.
Yeah.
Do we have the record reflecting that Stephen has joined us again?
Is there another one?
Oh, sure, you can announce it.
All right, Stephen rejoined us at 6 o'clock.
For Matt.
Huh? Yeah, the timing was perfect, actually.
Yeah, really.
Drop off a ring.
Pass out some-
Oh, I thought you were gonna pass out subpoenas.
I know, but,
We deserve
I was
them.
wondering, at the last meeting, I apologize, it was a little hot, it just kind of caught me off guard.
It happens to all of us.
Happens to everybody. So, Mr. Chair, I can start?
Yeah, go.
So what we've done here, just a couple things just to start. I thought it was important to actually bring some context information about the surrounding areas, size and scale of homes. And I know that this has somewhat limited reference, but I do think it's important to introduce it as just part of the record in terms of where we are. I thought the most effective way to show it was both through satellite imagery and addresses, and then some zoomed in aerials, just to show that there is in terms of a size and scale for a house in this area, this would be consistent for that. I don't want to spend a ton of time on that. The other thing I want to point out about the existing house, just minor anecdotally, but in terms of the size and scale, this is the existing house, and it's kind of elevated out of the ground, and it's a full two-story. I know that the massing is different, but again, I just want to point this out in terms of its existing height and size.
Is that the back, is that the back?
This is actually the front. This is the side that faces Eel Point Road. Ironically, it's the back of the house. The facade of the house actually is on the back. So this is what faces Eel Point Road. So it's not really, the thing about the existing house is it doesn't really present itself to the street at all in terms of design. Finally, we did a couple of very simple massing, or basically they're SketchUp models. We removed all of the vegetation in front of the model, which I think doesn't necessarily help our case. There will be vegetation in front of the structure. There's a couple of existing trees that we'll be keeping. But what I thought it was going to be important to do is just to show you exactly how this thing would sit in the landscape, absent any vegetation, so that you can get a clear understanding about the existing topography of the site. You can kind of look at those towards the end there. One thing I also wanted to point out was the fact that we have separated the structures. The garage is no longer connected to the house, and so what you have before you tonight is basically just the house. And we, which I do think helps. I also want to point out that the house itself, while on the second floor has a number of one-story elements and wraparound porches, the second floor of the structure is actually in keeping with a lot of the houses in that area. So, I know that when the structure was connected with the garage, we did an overall length calculation, and it was like over, 100 feet.
Hey, Matt.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna cut to the most salient change, all right?
Sure.
Because, I've been reviewing this while you've been talking. So look, removing the garage, I think, from the fact that whether it was connected or not connected, it's still basically sitting in the same place, right?
Yeah, roughly.
So in other words, the perception from Eel Point Road will be the same as what we see in the previous submission.
Yes, well, in terms of the siting, yes, but the design of the garage itself, we are looking at changing.
Oh, okay, good to know. But I think that, what this board, and I don't necessarily want to speak for the other two members that are sitting on this, but what we were looking for was a reduction in the overall mass, and if I'm not mistaken, did you not do that over on the west side?
Yes, and the east.
We did this week before, didn't we?
No.
Well, we had taken the second floor area off previously.
Look at this.
And then.
Oh,
yes,
this is the original
That's
one.
the original.
Oh, okay.
The other thing,
I'm disappointed.
well,
Okay.
the other thing I will tell you that we did do, Mr. Chair, is actually that one-story additive piece was an eave facing forward. So it was actually much taller, even though we dropped it. So we did change the roof pitch to a hip, which I think was helpful. The other part that we
You
did.
mean it used to be a gable?
It used to be a gable, and it was actually much taller. It was probably, even though we had reduced it.
Maybe we asked you to look at the original submission, but it would have been nice to see the penultimate.
The previous,
Yeah.
I could certainly provide that. The other thing we did.
Continue.
The other thing we did is we did actually reduce the length, I think it was by 2 feet. Again, we had a fairly short turnaround time from the time we met last week until the submission. The other thing we also did is, you couldn't necessarily see this, was there was a 2-story stair, I don't know what I'd call it, it was an additive mass, if you will, that we've completely omitted.
Where?
So I think there was on the east elevation, so that left side, if you will. So I guess my point is, if you look at the north elevation as a whole, I think that it's.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, we had a full.
There's like this thing that drags down over here. That right there, and it's not there anymore.
You can't see, you couldn't actually see it. If you flip to one of the other elevations, actually, probably if you go to the south elevation.
which that piece we completely eliminated, which is kind of a
Yeah,
secondary.
that's what I just saw.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't
You know,
touch
you
your
saw a
phone.
little you saw a triangle's worth of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it does mean, it's meaningful.
Yeah, so I wanted to, so again, we're looking at the garage independently. One of the things we're looking at is to try to drop the height even further. So when you said, Mr. Chair, the relation, like the placement of it, I still would be in that same place, but we're looking at either pulling it further away from the house, potentially lowering it even more. Also changing the roof style, if you will, so that it's, doesn't appear as tall, if you will.
Okay.
The final thing that I would put out there is the notion of color. This is something that we've debated internally extensively, and one of the things that we're currently our request is for white trim. We would be willing to go to a gray trim with potentially a different colored sash, either like a darker trim or darker color sash. But I do think that that is would have a significant impact in terms of its placement and or presence in the context there. So with that,
Totally agree with that statement.
that was a long, hard-fought battle, FYI. So, and I do think that it actually would. I do think this house would benefit from that. I think it is conducive to that. So, anyways, with that, I know there's any comments, so I'd love to hear what Bill has to say.
Thanks a lot. Who wants to start? Guys need a moment to digest.
So we're treating the garage separately, and it may be lowered and more forward down the hill from this site?
Potentially, yeah. If there's any way, I think some of the feedback that we got from the last meeting was that the garage and its presence, that is the one piece that is different from the existing house. Again, I don't think it's.
That always bothers me, by the way. I never think I expressed it, but the fact that everything else is gambrel and that's a gable kind of bothers me.
Which, that is something.
Your garage piece.
Yeah, and we have, just FYI, we have submitted that garage as a separate application because it's technically a separate structure. So that went in today. Yes, there was a deadline today, I think, wasn't there? Yeah. So it did go in today, and it is, Mr. Chair, it is a gambrel roof, and it does compositionally work a lot better.
Steve, you ready?
Yeah, I'll take a stab. So Matt, not sure where to start other than, I guess, grab the bull by the horns. I didn't get into it initially because I thought that we might see some changes to address the overall massing from left to right, which is your north elevation, which more than less parallels Hill Point. The primary ridge there is approximately 67 feet long. I'll give you the benefit and say 66 in some inches. So that's, a concern in the context of the whole, as opposed to just a ridge line thing. I think, as I've said before, I think, you are planting little gems of designs around the island. And if this house were not on a hill, as it is, and you were not looking to perhaps even raise some of the grade, which I'll address in a moment, I would consider this appropriate in almost any setting. So I want to be clear about that. With respect to the grade, I took a look at the topo on the GIS, and then I'm taking a look at your site plan, and you're proposing a top of wall. Basically, your finished floor will be where you have grade that is 40 feet, let's say 41 feet shown on your site plan, which I believe tracks the GIS topo. You're proposing a 46 foot finished floor elevation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Hang on. I want to make sure I get that. Finished floor 46, which I believe at the last meeting, you said that's going to match
The existing finished
the
floor.
existing finished floor. Okay, so that's kind of established. But now, did I just understand you to say that it's sitting on a platform that's at elevation 41?
yeah. So and that's where I was.
That's 5 feet.
And that's where I was going with the concept of bringing it down into, kind of lowering the overall
and splitting it, still to the benefit of the applicant. But, I mean, it's a huge difference. And I'm concerned about that, not only because it's a big difference, but I'm concerned about it because, again, this structure protrudes into a pretty precipitous drop off in grade along the western elevation. Is it the western? Yes.
Yeah.
And that, and by virtue of that, it's not a virtue, but as a result of that, it's going to accentuate the height of this building. And that's just a really big concern for me. So, I mean, again, I'm not cutting new ground, but I just want to be super clear.
Mr. Chair, can I just follow up on that point?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to explain that. I think I know the answer, but you got a lot of retainage that's going on there.
Yeah, and so Stephen, I think that this photo demonstrates, this is the finished floor elevation of 46.
Right.
And then that, the house basically is elevated, the existing house is elevated, and it's got this deck, and that's probably about 3 to 4 feet, of exposed deck skirting, if you will. So that's the existing grade that we're dealing with. This face of this house is essentially in the same location as the proposed facade of our structure. And so that is accurate. Like, we're dealing with an existing topo grade. Now, the one kicker is that on the back side of the structure, the elevation of the floor is within probably 12 to 18 inches, probably closer to 12 inches of the finished floor elevation. So we're dealing with this existing slope. In our proposal, the way we're dealing with that is basically establishing the 46 elevation as our top of finished floor. You can actually have that. Finished floor elevation, we want to maintain that because that's the existing, this is just a kind of a street view, if you will. So you are accurate, you are correct in that. Now, the one thing I would also submit to you is that the driveway and the garage are actually 3 feet lower than the 46. So in some ways, we've got, like a 24-inch plus or minus retaining wall in front of the structure. And so our parking and our driveway are essentially fairly close to that existing elevation shown in the grass. Plus or minus.
You erred when
Impossible.
you said, so here you are. Your finished floor is
Is
at
at
46.
Right.
And we will take your word that that's the same.
And I can bring in the
finished floor.
surveys.
Okay. So now when you look at the site plan, what you have is basically your house is sitting on a platform, which let's just say that that's elevation 44.
Okay.
Then you're stepping down from that platform, there's a little retaining wall, and then your drive is in front of all that. So that's where you're actually making up the 3 feet.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go 3 feet down from 46 to the drive, it actually goes 5 feet down from 46.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range. I don't know if Mirka's plan is still on, if that's in the file.
Well,
because
we have what you submitted.
I mean, hers is pretty well worked out in terms of, but it's definitely within that range. I mean, that was the whole idea here, that we're basically taking the existing, so. To what extent, I mean, Steve, like I said, the primary goal here was to not go below the 46.
Yeah.
I can try to pursue that further. I mean, my one hesitation is cutting into the grade on the backside, but anyways, I just wanted to confirm that I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I just wanted to be clear that we're not looking to, raise the grade or make this thing stick out any further.
Right, so, Mr. Chairman, I just want a couple quick comments. So Matt, yeah, the face of the existing facade and the proposed facade are the same. Again, the width is a concern with respect to the grade drop off precipitously to the west. The other thing is that covered porch comes out fairly significantly. In order to accomplish that, the grade is going up to a top of wall of 44 feet, some, I would say, 20 feet further away from the house than exists currently. Currently, you come out and it drops down as you go down the porch, the stoop there.
This might help too.
The other thing that's of a concern, and I'm not certain how to address it at this point. It's probably premature, but it's something I think to be thinking about. Is you've got as exists, there's a significant amount of landscaping between the precipitous grade change to the west and Eel Point, and that does mitigate the perception of that drop off.
in the existing condition,
Mhm.
but we have nothing, and I'm not suggesting it's through any shortcoming on your fault, but we have nothing to suggest how that might be mitigated in this plan. So that is something to consider. And the only other comment I think I'd make at this point is that with respect to the grade change, in terms of appropriateness with this site and the width, and I keep saying the precipitous grade drop off on the west, I would think that the taking some grade out of the rear is much more appropriate than building the grade up at the front. And I understand you want to keep your 46, and I get that. But I'm just trying to look at the overall context. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Abby?
Okay, so, I appreciate the new color, and I appreciate the thought that now the garage is going to be considered separately and could possibly also be gray, a different architecture, and, I mean, maybe it's going to,
This is the
and-
new
and-
garage design, by the way.
Yeah.
This is a gambrel.
Oh, okay, I was saying, okay, so now it relates back, and I'm hoping it's forward, of the building. The concern I've had all along is its length, and just, like a castle on a hill. I mean, I think it's coming across as the castle on the hill, and I think that's what's bothered me all along. So,
Is it, can I follow up on that comment, Mr. Chair, just for clarity?
Let me make sure that, that's the sum of Abby's comments.
well, I
I know
don't
that
wanna.
you're overarching.
Yeah, that's my overarching, and I'm not, I'm not an architect, so I'm not going to start
I
saying,
thought
well,
you were.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm going back to school next year. But no, but
Don't do it.
I'm wondering, like, when we asked you to reduce the length, like, okay, so I see the two gables coming forward, the two gambrels, and I understand that, and that's nice and symmetric. But the middle thing, I don't understand when we said it was so long, and I thank you for taking off, like the last time, the far right,
Yeah.
reducing that, and making that like a hip roof. That really mitigates the castle on the hill effect. But I'm just wondering that center portion, I don't know what it is, but I don't wanna know, but I'm just wondering, could it be reduced?
So we can continue to look at that. Like I said, just again, we were heard Tuesday. We had to have the submission in for the next day or two. We did, like I said, we took 2 feet out of it, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just I want you to. We are trying.
Yeah,
and one of the things we are going to
Thank
look
you
at.
for those 2 feet.
It's
and-
something,
Yeah, it's something, and I'm looking at, you did your homework, and I really do see that there are a lot of, I mean, if there are any trophy houses on the island, it's Steel Point Road.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not out of line there. It's just the length. You can see it right here in red.
Nope.
It's one of the.
We're going to continue to look at ways to, because I understand that is a concern. So I think switching to the hip was helpful. The other thing I want to just point out, not that it matters, and maybe it's counter to what how the house presents itself. The owners actually, believe it or not, they're like, we don't want to look like the big house on the hill.
Okay.
But they also want a certain aesthetic. So that's one of the goals here. So, but we'll continue to work on that.
And it's interesting that you produce these perspectives, because one or both of you, Abby and Stephen, said that you have a hill of a certain width, and right now that current house sits on top of the hill. The problem here, as you can clearly see from this, is now the garage is sort of falling off the hill, but it's remaining tall. This side is falling off the hill too. I appreciate the hip roof, but the fact is, the building is too long to be sitting completely at the crest of the hill, so you get these things that are sort of trailing down the hill. I appreciate the color change very much. And I'd love to see some further refinements of the garage. I know we haven't seen it at all yet, but right now in this thing, it sort of looked like it's sticking out of the ground. substantially.
Yeah,
And I actually think that that's gonna be the piece that reads the most, honestly, because it's the
Right.
closest and kind of the most out of the ground.
One thing, if I could point out too, is just to reiterate that these perspectives are,
Show no
devoid of
vegetation.
any vegetation.
Yeah, no, I
which,
get it.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're shooting myself in the foot, but I wanted, and if we were gonna have an honest conversation about this, I wanted to start with, you know, warts and all. So.
But, yeah, and then,
Yeah.
no, okay, I appreciate
I
that.
think it's getting there,
Yeah, definitely.
seriously.
And the hip roof, as I mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again, great gesture in terms of reducing the overall perceived length. And that's kind of
So, motion for,
some more revisions.
Motion to hold for, few more revisions.
Yeah, okay. All those in
I
favor?
appreciate it, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, oh, you have another one, Hussey.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Who's our board on this?
I'm on this one.
It is Cole, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, and Welch. Alternate waters.
Okay. You know, I think 90% of this was a view. And then I remember making a comment about the idea of having that porch read more like an infill.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. And one of the things you talked about is potentially utilizing the existing post structures to have it read more as an authentic infill.
Yeah,
And,
kind of like that.
So we actually came up with a few options, but one of this, we have a potential option that we think is pretty strong for reference. So there's no change to the drawings from the original submission, so I know you wanted to go look at it. This is a option of a version with a different material change on the base. And I should probably also just see if anybody had any comments about the viewing and the visibility or lack thereof, or to what degree it's.
All right. So, Val, haven't heard from you in a while. You ready? Or you want me to come back?
No, I missed what he was saying because everything was shuffling around. What is
Okay,
this?
sorry. So the main thing was about a view. Okay, everybody wanted to see how visible the porch was. And then, sort of as everybody was motioning for a view, I said it would be good, you'll remember that HSAB reviewed this and they said it would be too bad to lose the porch in favor of enclosed. And so I offered up a suggestion of doing our historically appropriate, like, take a porch, infill it the way it's been done for 100 years. And that's the option that, you do one or more options?
Just this one in particular.
Okay, so
We did a
pass
bunch
it around.
internally. Everyone should have a
Yeah.
copy. And so,
Do you want me to come back to you, Val?
Yeah, because I'm,
Is it this, what are we passing around, this?
yeah,
the
the reduced set
vertical
is
boards
the,
you're talking about?
what's that?
Well, it's not clear what those boards are, Matt.
It's, 1x6 roof.
Is it
This
painted,
is-
is it?
This is,
This is what we'd be proposing as opposed to
That.
this. So we've omitted the pergola,
okay,
HSAB didn't like, and then we basically took these posts that align with the ones above it and
Mhm.
made it feel like these are kind of internal.
gotcha,
And
okay.
then the material change goes around the corner. I can't put you in this here because I'm
No,
right.
I think he is.
Are you on this?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so.
This is,
Val, do you have one of these?
I have-
John
Yep.
is on, Abby, you're on it. Val and Stephen and myself.
Do we have a choice here, or what?
I personally think this, the reduced copy is something that I think is more reflective of some of the feedback we received from the board, so that would be our preference.
Well, when you said you have a choice, of course you have a choice.
At least have a
No, I
choice.
thought-
You're allowed to comment on.
Well, I mean, the pergola is, I mean, what, so this is,
So in the reduced copy, we omitted the pergola and then changed the sidewall material. We omitted the shingles and went with the 6-inch V groove, which so it appears more of an infill under
Let
porch.
me clarify something, just for a second. So this, the big drawings,
yeah,
I don't believe those have been changed since
No.
we
well,
opened
except
up.
for some of the siding, right?
No. Okay, so this is what we saw. This is what we opened up last Tuesday, okay? And then, based on the comment from HSAB about the porch, Matt came up with this little alternative here, which shows the porch post still remaining and treating it more like an infill the way that, you see it around town. That's the difference. So yeah, of course you have a choice.
HSAP did not like the pergola. It was held for a viewing, but we wanted to.
I'm kind of with that one.
What color are the boards?
It was white. It's white.
Aren't they gray?
Uh,
It's gray on the floor?
it's all white trim. The house is white trim. It's a really eclectic structure.
Those doors are gray.
I
Those
think the
garage
doors
doors
are
are
gray.
gray. And those might be V-groove, I'm not sure about.
They are,
And this,
but the trim
where's
is
the
white.
infill on this?
Okay, so the red is the entire
Yeah,
site,
right,
and this is the porch.
okay.
Bing, bing.
I just took a picture of it.
Here, Ab.
Oh.
Yeah. See,
I think with the exception of the boards, I'm okay with this version. Could that be gray as well to match the doors? And then the post would be white and it would really give the
just
illusion.
like that.
Yeah, that's what I
The
was
precedent
thinking.
is right on the front of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the infill here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm down with all of that.
Okay, that's good. So let's see, John, comments?
Yes. Pergola is what bothers me, it's 12 foot off the wall.
Hey, John, I got some good news for you. Pergola is gone.
Where does it say that?
Show him the little one. He did some
Yeah.
revisions.
You didn't show me that.
H
It's
said,
over here.
hey, John.
Man.
Hey, John. Historic Structures Advisory Board didn't like the pergola, so he took it off.
Architecturally, the exterior features of the structure as proposed, I think is appropriate.
Okay. Thank you, John. Stephen.
Yeah, I agree with John, and I guess the only thing I would say, Matt, is if you came back, well, two things. One is if you were to rebate that at the porch area that's being enclosed, if you were to rebate that 6 inches, so you retain the corner board, I think it would be more, obviously it's
Oh, I
going to
gotcha.
be more accurate.
Yep.
But is that a 3070 door, or is that a?
Yeah.
So so you'd lose your little coat space. I don't think it's incredibly important to do that. I'm just suggesting that might be a
I don't
consideration.
mind doing that, to be honest with you.
Which side were you looking at the rebate on?
Where on the little sheet where he's
Yeah.
enclosing,
Yes.
where he's putting the door,
Push that back.
6 inches off the face, so it's not flush.
so it looks like the existing.
Because this right now is flush with that, he's saying take that, push it back by 6 inches.
If you look at the existing,
Oh, yeah.
there's an existing image
Actually, that's a
here, right?
really good idea.
And then the only thing I'd suggest is if you come back for the pergola, the clear headspace is over 8 feet tall and it's 12 feet from the structure or more. And it has a nice detail on the edge of the rafter, but if that were a simplified detail, if it were less than if it was 7 feet clear height and it were only 8 feet off the house, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I don't know how important it is, but I think that the bigger thing is the enclosure, so we
Yeah.
can come back, but that's good feedback if we do wanna come back.
Just so you have it.
And is this?
We're gonna go to ZBA for this, so we may include
Yeah,
the
that's-
pergola
that
as part of
was-
it, just in
that's what
case,
he
and
was
then come back for you,
suggesting.
obviously, if you get it, if he even wants to pursue it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, well, so Steve, I think we're loving the idea of pushing that thing back, just enough to be able to express that
Totally agree with
corner board,
that.
6 inches, whatever.
Yeah, 6 is great.
All right, so sounds like we might be able to do a motion out of this.
So
Does
go
somebody wanna
for it,
help me?
Since it's your,
Motion to approve is submitted at the table, Exhibit A. Would you mind labeling that Exhibit A?
Yeah, so it's the little one.
With a rebate at the, at the enclosed porch area, a rebate of 6 inches from the north
Yes.
elevation,
And the gray boards.
and gray board doors.
yeah,
Gray, board, the board door painted gray.
Yes. Okay,
Well, and the boards on the infill gray.
yeah,
Oh yeah, what are they now? I thought they
they were
were.
white.
Oh, that's right, they were white. So gray, vertical board, wherever
Okay.
the vertical.
All right, all those in favor of Stephen's motion?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right, thank you very much.
Don't wanna make this a habit. See you guys.
Thank you for coming
sorry.
back.
Yeah, I
I
meant
meant through it, just like,
Even though I don't think I'm on
you know,
that.
not
Oh,
being
oh,
here,
you
I'd
did
rather
right.
be here.
have you voted too?
Okay, see ya.
Aye.
All right,
Go
bye.
do your homework.
Okay, Griffin Architects. What you got, Griffin Architects?
Oh, and happy birthday
Steven,
tomorrow.
this is based on your proposal at minutes.
What?
You made revisions based on Commissioner's
He's such a good
suggestion.
citizen.
Oh, poor Steve.
Nuts
I
for the
got so
nuts.
much homework to do.
Take your telephone, the recorder.
No.
Paul, McLaughlin, Oliver, Welch, Watterson.
Okay,
All right, I'll make the explanation quick. Griffin, the first suggestion was to rotate the structure so that the little kind of shed side with the lattice face the road and the garage doors didn't face the road, and also provide some more context to demonstrate that the structure's not 15 feet from the road, it's a little over 30 feet.
oh yeah.
The buffer. This also allows us to continue the hedge in front of the structure, you know, between the roads. So.
So what did, was that Steve recommend?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why you made him wait? So, it's bubbled basically because you changed
We changed the direction.
orientation.
Yep.
Everybody get that?
Yeah.
So, chime in.
I'm okay with this changes.
Thank you. I forget who the board is.
Yeah, I have no concerns. I think what needed to happen happened on this. I like that you rotated it. Net benefit.
All right, thank you, TJ. Who else is on?
Me.
Yeah. Any comments?
I think if the hedge is continued, it will certainly help mitigate the fact that it's significantly higher than the one that's there.
Continuing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Ethan, just to clarify, the, on your site plan, the graphic line drawing, this area in front of the garage is landscaped as shown in the image?
Correct,
The
yeah.
imagery? Okay, great.
Correct.
I think it's a wonderful design. I couldn't have done better myself. No, and I
Oh,
appreciate you
boy.
sticking through it with us because it makes a big difference in that area, being so close to the street.
Yeah, I think in the suggestion of providing more context with the street,
So,
made a lot.
thank you.
sense.
All right.
It's gonna be a gem.
Was there anybody else?
Motion to approve.
Hang
Did
on,
somebody say
hang
that?
on, make sure. Did I cover the whole board, John? I didn't write that one down.
Did John speak?
John has not spoken. What do you
Nuts,
say,
please.
sir?
The, looking at this so-called
Thank
garage,
Did you have some?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
and you look at it real close, it's 24 foot to the peak. And it's out of character, it's too high. Like the one down on the other street, down there on Wall Street. They're about the same size. And that guy, they had to bust that guy.
Going down Wall Street?
Yeah, this is about the same thing right here, and what he does upstairs is none of our business. You know, the exterior architecture features what we go by. Everything here meets the requirements of the commission, in my opinion.
It does actually.
Yeah.
24 for a
But I
garage.
think you shouldn't have busted the other guy,
Oh,
you know? That's what
Well-
I'm saying too. The commission is not
I'm
together.
actually okay with that other one. But
Anyway,
well, thank you, John. All right, so we're ready for a motion.
I think I made one.
You did?
I said motion to approve.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you all. Yes, hello. Okay, Karen,
To vote on that?
thanks. Let's not bug Steve anymore.
Hey, guys.
Do you want yours, is this you? Hey,
Oh,
Come back at like a new
okay. Board?
Cole, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Watterson.
If memory serves me, this was just a view. No revisions were requested.
And can I just remind you that black roof,
Yep.
black panels, they're all going the same direction as requested, and they are not on the front of the house.
Yes. Thank you for reminding us that I remembered all that.
Good.
Okay, so this was a view, folks. Did anybody go out and see it besides me?
Yeah, I think I took a picture.
I got it up there.
Foggy.
What?
Foggy out there today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you went today?
Yeah.
It was extremely foggy.
I didn't get there.
It's quite visible.
Oh, show off of that. That's if you're driving back into town.
Yeah.
John, this is the house that's being built on Hummock Pond Road.
John is the one that asked us to view it.
Oh, yeah. It's all surrounded with wetlands.
Okay?
The house is all surrounded with wetlands.
Yeah.
You know the house?
It doesn't interfere with the view.
Oh, I was just saying.
Right?
These are the two.
Yeah. No, I know that. I drive by it every morning. I go out to Gardner property to walk.
It's visible, there's
Yeah.
no doubt
Oh,
about it.
so now the other thing is, John,
Yeah.
the panels are supposed to go on the back roof. You know, the
Right.
rear L, not on the front, just so you know.
Mhm.
Well, I can go first.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
So I was just there, and unfortunately, this picture shows the back L screened by some pine trees, but when you actually go by it and look, you will actually see the panels from Hummock Pond Road. And I was a little saddened by that because I was so ready to let this one go.
Mhm.
So I just wanna say that you will see this. It's not
Yeah, at the
screened.
moment, you definitely see the back roof. Okay, thank you, John.
Now, it's outside the old historic district area.
Okay,
That's the one advantage to it. And I just make a comment. Today, I was out on South Road. And there's a steel building just built out there.
yeah.
Maury, is it?
Oh, yeah. Behind the Emporium.
Right. But the whole, both roofs are solid with D. Solid with D.
What road?
Am I
Old
right?
South Road.
Right.
Really? That's
Well,
storage
the
for it?
gable
that
faces
roof-
the
that roof
street
is-
and it's the sides
Mhm.
and it's the whole sides.
It's a steel building.
Yeah, no, I
You
know
get
the
to
building you're
Valero's.
talking about.
You get to
Oh,
Valero's,
yeah,
you look in,
I've seen that.
that
Yep.
whole building, so, you know, it's a common thing outside the old historic area, in my mind. But inside the old historic district area, put them on the ground. Anyway, that's my opinion. I don't find this objectionable here. This will be visible. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, John. How about you, TJ?
I'm with John on that.
Okay,
It's no concerns.
and how about you, Val Oliver?
Well, you know what my concerns are.
That it's visible?
I appreciate the change in making these all go the same way. That was great.
Well, and also, one of the things is it being on the secondary mass.
Right, right. It's the rear multiple roof plane thing that disturbs me.
So
But we've had that conversation over and over and over. We are gonna see these, so I guess I'm okay with it if there was some attempt to maybe try and put a tree to screen it from
Well, I was
the
gonna-
wide open range there on the bike
So it's
path.
interesting, it's interesting you say that because that's what a pine tree will do to the visibility from where this photo was taken.
Maybe a
basically.
Leland cypress.
Now,
In fact, you said that.
the photograph that Abby showed is obviously going further up here where you're able to look past that pine tree in. And what's your ability to plant something there like a Leland or something?
I can find something.
Could you?
Yep.
All right, well, I think that would, because like, in terms of what we see at this table, it's not on the front of the building, it's on black shingles. You know, it's kind of set up to do a lot of what our guidelines, the approved guidelines have said, and to John's point, it's not in the OHD, it's out of town, so I think the name of the game here is to screen it as much as possible. So I would be in favor of this if you were just able to sort of take that pine and, you know, continue it closer to your property so as to screen as much as possible from the bike path and Hummer Pond Road.
That would be part of the approval.
Yeah,
That if,
yeah.
when John Hedden goes to see it, he cannot see it.
Okay.
Motion to approve it as submitted.
Can we
With,
just,
with shading.
with the adding of the vegetation? Okay.
Try to get some shading, maybe they can't.
All right, I think he says he can. So all those in favor of John's motion?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Oh, you're opposed?
I
Oh,
hope-
right,
I-
yeah. because
I
you-
hope you heard what I said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
the-
gonna depend on screening anymore.
Inside, outside.
To Wednesday.
HTC.
Well, you're starting to sound like me with my
Right.
North
Nantucket.
pasture thing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, that's
Okay.
why we're a democracy. Everybody takes on a different.
Since when did we become a democracy? I haven't checked my phone. For the last 2 years, we haven't been. Wait, what?
Today was a big election.
Any results?
Are we actually allowed to vote? Are we still allowed to do that now?
What's that?
Yeah.
Vote?
Well, you're not allowed
This
to
is the last
think.
year.
Just because it's in the Constitution?
No.
Oh,
I think this is the last year.
I'm going on. Let's see. Seven Nanina.
That's me.
All right, come on up.
I like your outfit.
Yep, I'm a scholar, burn hunter.
Yeah.
And one of the lucky people to win a house in this agent's path.
Oh.
Do
Good for you.
Do we have any pictures?
They should be on the packet here, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Well, I'm coming from a point of naivete. I was gifted some large stone and I put in a couple of steps in front of my house.
So I'm going to ask a question first. Has this been heard before, John?
It has not, no.
Has not. Okay.
Sorry, can you state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm Douglas Smith. I live at 7 Mariana Drive, Nantucket,
Massachusetts?
Massachusetts. Yes.
I don't mind these.
Yeah,
Uh,
Goshen stone or?
They're just nice flat stone. I've been a stonemason in my lifetime, and these were gifted to me. Now, the unique thing about my home that I want to point out to you is that it's a handicapped house, and I'm not handicapped. There were no handicapped people at the drawing for these houses, and this is the house that we chose to buy. If you'll notice in the front of the house, there's on the left-hand side, which is a north face, is a stone walkway.
Yep.
It put in mortar. And,
Right.
and that's just a pathway going to the back side of the house. In the front of the house, what's missing in the picture over here that you're looking at is another handicapped ramp that goes in a circular motion on the other side of your finger.
Okay, so the ramp is actually a stone walkway, right?
Yes.
So this is just a
There's the
yeah,
there's the
okay,
picture.
Right.
And so we're not handicapped, and rather than walk around
Yeah.
that handicapped way, I put these steps in. Now I've really only got 2 steps because I'm coming from a elevation of the driveway
Mhm.
to an elevation of the porch.
Yep.
We have a unique poured concrete porch. Everyone else has steps built out of wood. So this is another unique thing about our house. That cement
I would
pad
motion
in
to
front of the door.
approve. No need to explain anymore.
Okay.
Oh, do you wanna talk about it? Okay.
It's grass,
Okay.
grass is growing
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Alright.
but I mean,
Yes.
okay.
I would
John
like to-
wants to
okay.
say something.
Yeah, I want to landscape on both sides of it a little bit, but.
That sounds terrific, John.
Just have one open question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, has been approved by us?
Oh, it's already existing, yes.
I don't know, thank you.
All right, so
Motion
Val
to
has made a
approve.
motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
You're
for waiting.
welcome.
Okay, we got
Good luck with the
29
scalloping.
Brewster.
Thank you. We're working for them.
I heard that.
I'm only getting a single limit with my wife.
Golly.
We got it very shy.
I heard they were
45
scarce
pounds.
this year.
Double limit.
Very.
Opening day.
Just like.
My neighbor didn't even put his boat in.
Yeah, it's just funny how it goes from year to year. One year's scarce, one year's plentiful.
They got all the sewage in the harbor now, out the eel grass.
They're they're working.
Full, Laughlin, Camp, Oliver, Waterson.
So last time you suggested we rotate the left side ridge to show gable from north and south. So this is the change will be. Yeah, that's the change.
That's the demo. That's okay, so here's the gable. See, you used to be looking at the other way around. Yeah. This, we don't have the previous, but do you guys all remember?
Oh,
This was-
yeah.
It was sort of like, it was tall, then it went low, and then
Yeah.
it went up again.
I
This
think
is
this
better.
was my suggestion.
Yeah, it was.
And it, a good suggestion, Val.
We don't
so.
have the
Yeah. So-
old ones.
No, this one.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I know, because it was, had that
Gable,
shed.
and then it was low, first, and then-
Oh, yeah, yeah. This hasn't cleaned up, okay. For Ruby.
Okay, so I think everybody at the table is on there. TJ, anything to add?
No, I like that you took the suggestion, this version looks better.
Great, thanks. John, any comments, questions?
Yes, I want to pass for a minute. Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like
I'm good with it.
you're good, Abby's good, I'm good. All right.
Okay, as normal, let's see your window schedule.
You have one on there?
Right there.
All you want is what's in the red.
Yeah, it's an existing.
The red is
Oh,
demo.
no, I'm sorry, John, I think you might be looking at the demo
What
plan.
is red is demo.
So, John,
It's existing
Okay, that's the demo,
demo.
okay.
yeah, so you wanna
And
go down a few more pages.
Where is he?
He's doing
This
an
here is
addition.
the new
See the
proposed,
red
this the
bubble there?
addition. There's the view from the,
Wait, yeah. All this is gonna be added on,
Yeah.
right? These are existing.
that's existing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's sugar. This is coming along.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, seems like we're ready to go.
Bye.
Well, did somebody get?
Motion to approve.
Okay, all those in favor of
Aye.
that motion
Aye.
to approve, aye. Thank you, see you later. 26 East Lincoln. All right.
Hello?
You had it.
Hey, Dennis.
Hi, thank you for your time.
Thanks for waiting.
How's the Parental units,
Nope, you're all good.
good.
This one was held for representation.
Okay.
so-
So here's our representation. Everybody's on this. Wait, 1, 2.
Jesse will get on it.
Sorry,
I'll
Jesse,
sit
you
out.
wanna be on this one?
Sure.
Okay.
And so, sorry, just if you want me to, the scope of the work is changing from true divided light to simulated divided light.
Okay, and, where is it? Like, with respect to the,
It's outside of the old historic
It
district.
is.
It's like Cisco House.
Out towards Jetties, Beach, Over Dev,
Where's Hobart?
or North. North Beach.
oh, yeah, I know where this is. Okay. So, let's see. North Beach, right? This is where, the Beacon paper used to have.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget, somebody else has their office in there.
Yeah.
So you go down like this, towards, like, I think that might be the turn, no, that's not the turn off the Jetties. Jetties is like way down here. And then you get
Yes,
back.
sir.
But so this is, the house sits right there, okay? So his request is to go from TDLs to SDLs down there. And it is not, are you basically matching the same,
Yes, sir, we're trying to, and financially, they wanna do half this year and half next year.
Okay.
And they're just, they're, you know, like anybody on Nantucket, trying to make a little money in the rental season.
Yep.
And as it gets late, the you know, the windows were built in the house in the 50s.
Yeah.
And with the aluminum storms, they just don't hold the heat the way they used to.
Sure.
So they're just trying to upgrade a little bit and make them warm until install a little better.
Okay.
Same configuration, just.
Yes, ma'am.
Just,
Just new windows, yes, ma'am.
new ones, okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
John?
I'm looking.
Yeah, so basically what they wanna do is they just wanna switch out the windows. It's outside of the old historic district, and he just wants to switch out the same type of windows with, simulated divided light instead of, true divided light.
Are there any A windows here? In the plan?
A windows, John,
Huh?
I'm not sure what you mean, A windows.
So what he's asking is you're switching out 3/3 double hungs for an awning window.
Well, yes, Val, they don't make one that small anymore. And if you guys totally hate them, we can try to use something when we do the other half next year. I don't know what else to do, but I would welcome any suggestions.
John doesn't like the awnings that go out, that swing out.
Yes, ma'am.
So if they actually come in, he's okay with that.
Do they make an end screen, John?
Yeah, it's
No,
called a
yeah.
hopper.
A hopper?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, well,
actually
I talked to Mr.
Hopper,
and
you
Mrs.
crank.
Marno.
They lean in from the top.
Okay, the homeowners, and they said, you know, the 15 we're trying to do this year, if the 2 don't get passed, we can maybe change and do something different for next year. So you say the in-swing would probably be
Yeah.
okay
So
to
he's good
present
with
to you on
them
next year?
fixed, or if you want them operable, they swing in, right,
Okay.
that goes to out. Or, well, the other option isn't available to you, which is double hung.
Yes, sir, they don't make one in that size, yes, sir.
Okay, so John, are you okay if he agrees to do either fixed or
Chip in, yeah.
in swing? Okay?
So you'll approve the 13 for this year, and next year I should propose the
We can
in-swing
approve
instead
them
of
all.
the.
No, we approve them all
Oh,
now.
okay.
We're gonna approve, just to simplify everybody's life here.
Okay.
So we'll make a motion,
Yes, sir.
and the motion will include a stipulation that you just find a window that's either fixed or in swing, and you're good to go.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Okay? All right. Can somebody make that motion for me?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks. All those in favor of Val's motion to approve changing to insulated windows with a stipulation that, if it's a casement or awning, it's in swing or fixed,
Just for the A windows.
just for the A windows.
Yes, I make that motion.
All those in favor of Val's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Get that hammer out from under. Don't hit the hawk.
Dennis,
Oh.
can you say your name just for the record?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, my name is Dennis Dias.
All right, good, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, 8 Quince. Hi.
Laura Hussey,
Quinn Street.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Abby, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Laura, how did you have known her for years?
Bad penny. And now I have this house. 8 Quinn Street, the Penn School.
Just the one.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a school?
It was a school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the lady who used to own this.
There's a lot of rot on these boards. They have to be replaced. And I was hoping to replace them without painting them in cedar.
Hang on, I'm gonna read,
Yeah.
because you're in town,
Yeah.
in the old historic district, the Historic Structures Advisory Board, wrote up some comments. So it says historical information needed, although I think we can all agree that it's an old house. That's very clear. North elevation, it is not clear what is being requested. All trim natural to weather, HSAB would like that. They say that all the time. But so now that we've heard that, could you tell us what you're hoping to do once again?
The trim,
Yes.
all this,
Yeah.
replace it with, what do you call it, leather?
Natural to weather?
Natural to
Without-
weather.
Yeah, which
without the
means
color?
not painted.
Not painted, yes. The windows themselves are gonna be a problem. There's a lot of paint on them. We're gonna have to sand them down or something. I don't know how we would feel about leaving them green and the door red and replace the what do you call this?
That's an eave, you know,
The eaves
fascia.
and the corner boards and, the fence.
And it's a cost thing, the reason why you don't want to paint it?
I don't want to paint.
Oh.
I don't. I'm an artist and I don't like paint.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
It's just, to me, it doesn't make sense to paint something when the board is, and I have to replace the boards.
Yeah, okay.
It-
Well,
yeah.
that I understand, because your wood is basically right in contact with the earth, so if it was,
Yeah.
I mean.
I have a
rods and
suggestion that
Yeah.
might be a compromise.
Go,
Just the front facade,
paint.
leave painted. You know,
Mhm.
where this corner board turns the corner, and that's it. Leave the back and the sides natural.
Yeah, because I think it's gonna be a shock to the
Yeah.
rest of the world if they don't see the green paint. It's
Yeah,
such
'cause
a,
it- well,
it's such a, you know,
Such a
like a
It's an
landmark.
iconic
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
and it's
It's-
been that
I went
color
to school there.
for a long, long time.
I think that's a great suggestion
a very
because,
good suggestion.
everybody, and you know, if it comes to replacing windows, on a historic structure like this, we probably want them to be renovated.
I don't think she's requesting that.
No, but
Not
you
yet.
did, you did
We'll see
say
how
that
much-
they were very rotten and
Oh,
lots
did
of
you
paint
say the
on.
windows were rotten too?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
working
there's
my
a
way
lot of-
around the house.
A lot of
see. I
paint,
see.
so,
Yeah.
but don't, I'm just saying, don't touch the windows because they're,
I'm not, they're special.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Your dad explained it.
Oh, yeah.
If you
So,
want.
I'm sorry, what,
You-
TJ, you're on
I
it?
think I'm on it,
Yeah, you're on it, right, okay.
The only thing I'd say is, you mentioned you might sand the mullions of the windows. I wouldn't do that. I'd leave them the same.
Oh, if I'm gonna leave them that color, then I'm not gonna mess with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do
She was
that.
only suggesting that if we made it a requirement, if she was gonna leave all the rest of the trim natural,
I see.
then the green trim next to all the natural wouldn't look particularly good.
Okay, and other than that, I mean, I think that color green is attractive, but I think natural to weather would be okay.
So,
For the
yeah,
back of the
are you
house.
okay with the idea of the front facade alone would be painted and then everything goes natural
Yeah,
behind that?
yeah.
Okay, just to make sure.
This used to be a children's school.
Yeah, I went there, Joe.
Did you go there, John?
A penny a day.
Laura used to sit on the commission with us. Yeah, I won't tell you how many years ago.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So Ray, you actually went to that school as a child?
He's lying through his teeth.
Oh, for
Joe.
God's sake.
Okay, so can somebody
Suckered
give
right
me a
in.
motion?
I will.
Yeah, make it.
Motion to approve with the front facade staying
I don't
painted,
know what school you're talking about.
including just the front corner boards turning the corner, and then the rest of the building allowed to go to natural to weather.
Very good. All those in favor of Val's motion?
Aye.
All right,
Oh, okay, sure, John. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Laura.
thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. You take care, say hi to John.
Boy, we're rounding third here.
I know, let's keep going here. Let's get out before 8.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I think we probably could discuss response.
In my defense, I
yeah,
was.
so
Yeah,
now
I
that
had
we're
the
on to-
wrong numbers.
Yeah, well, you must have. So,
What did that pass last time on Orange Street?
It was a long time ago.
So I had some neighbors in the back, but they actually took it out. So.
wait, no, but I'm
Did
not
John
sure
wanna
which,
sign
where on
this?
Orange Street.
Here,
On the left going up, and it
Okay,
shares
well,
it.
wait,
So-
so
so
if
there
you're
was a-
going into town.
Is
Yeah,
anyone
so-
here
No,
for
if you're
Ton
going out of-
Academy?
What?
Ton Academy, no one's here?
These signatures.
Are we on a break?
Yeah,
No.
we are on a break.
We are?
Yeah, just 5 minutes, John.
So, it was here.
Sorry.
And
She wants Diane back next week.
This is orange.
I think she
Yes.
said 3 weeks you were
No,
going, or
it's
something like
somewhere
that.
like here.
Is that
which
cobblestone?
Yeah, so there was a different in, I think this is higher than this or something. But it was a very symmetric, the house is back, sits back, and, it was a very symmetric.
No,
There
so
was
this
something
is
forward.
not cobblestone.
Want some Skittles, Rob?
I think I know what you're talking about.
It was 16 and 18, or
It was a landscape.
14 and 16.
Was it a
There's
landscape?
two
thing?
flavors.
Yeah, yes.
Like
Yeah.
Halloween cauldron
Right,
flavors
so
and
it
regular.
had to do with, let me try.
Yeah, we did.
There was a retaining
Yeah,
wall, there
yeah.
was
Would you
a
like
pressure
Skittles?
treated retaining
Yeah.
wall here.
Mark?
Yeah.
He's got buckets at
And
home.
then there was like a stone wall here.
Yeah.
So like, literally she buys
And I, well, you know who it is.
That's
It was
good.
Lindsay, wasn't it?
Oh, good, we can ask him.
so much.
We should ask him now, because it's not
Give
official.
it to your employees.
Hey Lindsay, you got a sec?
Yeah, I do.
What's the number of
Bobby
that
has a question for you.
What's
I'm
that
pretty sure
number?
you did it.
on Orange Street that's two numbers? And it's
16 and 18?
16 and 18.
Yeah.
So, somebody called me and said that they had actually taken up their privet.
No, that privet was on, we had the property line staked and everything. Number 14, Mr. King?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that privet, we had the property line staked and everything. It's on, actually part of that guy's supports on his wall or on our client's property. I think he was mistaken.
That's always.
Yeah,
a
Chris
weird
Scales,
link.
their caretaker.
Oh, the controversy.
So he called me.
And don't ever talk to your neighbor and ask about a compromise, just,
Yes.
But we're actually putting Leland cypress trees up that are
People have
just as
gotten so
tall.
rude.
So that, because if the guy's like, because I think he was worried about privacy, but we're gonna like double his privacy farm.
Did we say Leyland Cypress?
It was on our plan that you guys approved on Friday, or last Tuesday.
We never know what we're looking at when we approve
Well, no, it's
that.
labeled, it says Leland cypress trees on it.
Oh, boy.
Why?
Well, no, they seemed very upset
Well,
about the whole project.
Because they've got Leland cypress trees already that exist by the gazebo, so all we're doing is we're
Yeah,
extending
these
them
aren't
out.
the gazebo people. The gazebo people are somebody else.
No, so the guy at number 18 bought number 16.
Right.
And then Mr. King is in the back corner.
Right.
And you got gold lights across the driveway.
Who has the gazebo then?
16 is in the back of 16.
Because they were talking about how the gazebo kept amorphing and getting larger, but
No, that hasn't changed. I mean, I remember that place. Miss Dohan used to own it before. Do you know Susan Dohan?
No.
Okay, so she owned it before, and then my client bought it from him, and she's the one who built the gazebo.
Right.
And it hasn't changed from when she built it.
Well, that's interesting. I will, get
Yeah.
back to them on that.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing is actually gonna give them more screening than anything they ever had. Because we're actually close, like right now, Ms. Dohan wanted to be able to park her car back there. And so like, we had an opening and areas that she could park her car. But now, that whole thing's gonna get closed out. So now he can't even see in her backyard or anything.
Okay, well, I will pass that along, because I think, yeah.
It's always tricky in town.
I asked them to call John Hedden, but he seems to have locked the building.
I think that's on purpose. I think he ran away.
Smelled a rat.
What was the count this year, Val?
720.
Trick or treaters?
Yeah. I made the Inky online. Did
What?
you see my picture?
It's a lot of trick or treaters.
720?
We had more last year. We had 780.
Oh my word.
Wow, what does that
Anyone
downside
else?
tell you? Maybe you need a little more gusto in front of your house?
Kids are looking for cash.
Better than candy.
Slide a buck in.
What do I do with this?
Oh, smell.
Do you rival Bambers?
Oh,
Like you do decorations? and
thing
fun
one.
like the Bambers?
You want the costumes for your kids? I got both of
Well,
them.
guess what? I call my two daughters thing one.
You
and
told me
thing-
that.
Oh, I did say that?
You didn't see
But
the
the suit.
excellent decor, though. We made Whoville.
Nice, you did it up.
That is so cute. Val,
Keep going
I
and
want
look.
to go. I want
Very
to help dress
realistic.
up your thing. I was thinking the Boys and Girls Club. I love haunted house.
Well,
When I
we
was at
never do
camp-
scary. We always do just fun.
When I was at camp, I like
How many did you get?
haunted house for whatever show it was.
Well, we ended up letting kids come back
That's
2 or
really
3
cute.
times because I wanted to just get rid of the bags.
No one goes to down there.
Nobody goes into town either.
Well, you know what? This
John.
year was
think John needs to sign
extremely
this.
dark.
Oh.
And if that's when it's
It's an
evident
age
that
thing,
I'm
Ray.
Did the
Once you
kittens
hit
call
10,
you
then
about
town
like
is
16,
too fun.
18
I
Pine
know.
Street?
My son,
I mean,
my
yeah.
oldest went for
They
the
did-
first time to.
Because Lindsay
Ms.
just
Amass.
told
This is a
me
mess, it's
that
crazy.
they didn't
That's
take
it.
down their privet.
The next guy?
Yeah,
But-
I had the property line staked.
Okay, are we approved back in action?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless they make it.
Wait, did we determine that there was nobody here for Town Academy?
Right.
No one's walked in since
Okay.
then, so I have a motion?
Motion to, hold for representation.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Hold what?
Waitress, Leslie Waitress is not here.
Thank you. Hold it, okay.
Okay, so now we're on to item 16, John. We got a board on this, I think I'm on
Gingy.
it. Yeah.
Cole, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Watterson, alternate Welch.
Okay.
That's the new dwelling.
Very good.
You know, makes it easy to find in a huge pile of
Yeah.
drawings.
Okay. This was our height issue, wasn't it?
Yes, everybody seemed to be happy with the overall design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I lowered it by, I think, close to 2 feet. I lowered it into the ground a bit. Took some out of the first floor and I changed the pitch from 10 to 9.5.
Pitch is still acceptable though. It's still
Wow,
deep.
good for you.
Yeah.
Well,
You look 2 feet.
close
That's
to it.
amazing.
Close to it.
We can't
I'm
get
a
something
fellowship
to get us.
Well, and the
then-
nice thing is the bulk of the building is still lower. So that's
But
good.
then I brought, just for you guys, here, this should see the for trick or treat.
There's Starburst somewhere.
There's one right here.
I thought I had 4, but I didn't.
What are you showing?
Okay, so you asked about the building next door on the lot to the left. This is the approved main dwelling for this lot. This is the proposal in the middle. That's the other main dwelling to the right, just so that you can see the scale of it.
I guess the streetscape.
So, of course, all three of these are your design. So the house that this accompanies is 29 and a half.
Yep.
And then the other house on the other piece of property is 28 and a half. And this is 24 and a half. So,
That says it all.
comments from the board?
I'm okay with it.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate the change, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Sean McLaughlin?
Pre-north elevation?
What?
Well, you know, John, it's one of those special places.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
That's the buildings on either
That's
side.
the streetscape, John.
Well, you mislabeled something.
Maybe I did that too.
Motion to approve?
I'm gonna hold that
Oh,
motion,
sorry.
TJ. I just wanna see if John has anything. Nope, John's folding up.
Aye.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And then we still have your pool.
Oh, this
You
was the
always try and
pool with
avoid
the retain, the guy behind.
Yeah, so, well, I did read that letter into the record. And my recollection is that most of that letter had mainly to do with drainage issues, support of wall issues, things like that.
Oh, right.
Weren't really germane to our review process. So, anyway,
Right.
This is, oh wait,
not the same?
This is the little pool.
This is the pool.
no, it's open.
Yeah, we didn't open it. Okay, so it's gonna be the same board, guys. Okay?
Does that set down from the road a little bit? The pool or patio area?
Actually, from the elevation of Gingy Lane, it goes up a couple of feet.
Okay.
Where's the site plan? What do you see?
From Westchester, you don't see anything. It's thickly vegetated and built.
Down here, are we looking at the back side of the houses on Westchester?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and actually even a little bit up Brooks Farm
Now-
Road there, a little bit.
But I do, most of that letter didn't have much to do with anything, but there was this idea that there was gonna be, retainage, right?
Phil's working on, he has an engineer working on the retaining wall.
Is the retaining gonna be around the pool?
No, where it needs to be
Is along this along here?
is along the property line, basically.
Well, which property line?
The one closest to you and Abby.
The 95-91, this one?
Yeah, it needs to start.
No, but, so I guess my question is, you can't really build the pool without the retainage, can you?
Oh, you can. We're just gonna appease the neighbor. He needs a little
Wait.
retaining, he wants something.
But I
Okay,
could
so
tell
you're
you what the
not-
neighbor's property looks like, cause I've worked on his house before.
Okay, I just guess, like, okay, so it's not like this is sloping down and you need to do retainage in order to flatten it out to be able to get a pool in it.
No, there's
No.
already like a 6-foot high retaining wall on the neighbor, holding up this land.
There already is.
There's already there. I think he was afraid it might cave in.
He's,
Oh, okay, but maybe I'm making way too much of this. So the land where the pool is going is already flat.
Yes.
It's at the level where the pool is intended to go.
yes,
It is.
yes.
Okay.
We can build a
So
pool without
truly,
any
all
structural
we're really
problems.
reviewing right at the moment is the pool and probably more importantly, the fencing, and the screening. So, you got wire and privet, presumably that's, privet running along the backside, which will also, actually, if it's a 5-foot wall, you don't really need to have your fence back there.
We need to confirm and work on the, well, we're going to plan to have the fence there. What happens with this retaining wall and what Phil works out with, Mr. White is yet to be determined.
Okay, so, you will have wire fencing in that long property line?
Yes,
edge.
yeah, actually,
So-
Mr. White has some there now, but that's
Okay,
besides.
so, but, so it should be a double layer of privet.
Okay.
With the wire in the middle of it. Any other comments from my fellow board members? John?
Yes.
Yes.
Does it have a roll up on it?
No.
The cover,
Hey, John.
My question is, you've got Wyatt and Pickett coming along here and down here. This is Wyatt and Pickett?
Yes.
Privet.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you continue to, instead of putting the fence in? I'm just curious.
because they wanted to be able to, if they wanted to use this property as one, okay, they wanted to be able to.
Take it down.
Yeah.
And where's the connector up here? Oh, up here.
It went from the garage to the house, and then along that back, along the property line to the east.
To here. From here to
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yep, that closes it in.
Okay, let's see, who did I not call on? Or does anybody have any issues with this as presented?
No.
All right, well, all I would personally like to see go into the approval is a condition that there's wire fences planted in between a double row of privet.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved.
All right, so all those in favor of Abby's motion?
All right.
Aye.
Okay,
Do you
so
think
that's
Terry
it.
would get that?
What?
Do you think Terry would get that?
That condition?
Double row
Yeah.
privet with
Yeah.
wire, Terry. And I'll write it on
Val's
here.
gonna write it
Thank
on
you.
the approval.
Okay.
All right.
Do I need to change the drawing for that, or are we okay just writing it
You
in?
can just write it on
Okay.
there.
Okay.
You can do an exhibit A, just
Yeah,
change
you can
it.
just write it in the,
Yeah, right in.
It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Robbie. Good night.
All right, 23 Monomoy.
Is that the site where, like, I went there today and there
It's
were
wide
so
open.
many, were there so many trucks and things going on there?
I think there's a lot of people.
I mean, I've never seen it was like a city.
Well, no, you've got also across the street, there's a project as well. And I think those
This was-
people are also
there was a
parking
full-
back there.
No, you know what it was? Xfinity or cable, they were doing some kind of cable.
They're moving that road, that part of Monument Road is actually getting moved closer towards the water by like a foot. Yeah, because
Oh, by a foot?
By a little bit, because they built that little substation thing right there, and so they have to shift the road so you don't drive right into it.
So why did they
Is
build it
this
in the
23 Monomoy, this is, what? Okay, we got a board on this, right?
Cole, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Watterson.
Okay.
Wide open
Is this,
for the road.
Yeah, yeah. But we're putting in a row of Leland cypress trees along the back to make it invisible. So you won't see it.
Invisible?
Well, you'll see green.
It's right on the road. I can't even believe you want to put a pool there.
Well, it's not on the road because Brewster Road, like right now it appears like it's on the road, but actually like, it's cleared up to the back of the lot, but you can see the way the road is drawn on there. That all gets infilled. There was a lot of infrastructure work that went back there. So the neighborhood is going to revegetate that portion of Brewster Road. But nevertheless, he doesn't want to see the road and he doesn't want people to see him, so that's why we've got a row of Leland cypress trees along that back property line to make it invisible, so that you, not invisible, but so that you can, bless you, so that you can't see his property.
One more.
Man, that is.
They always come in threes. Are we reviewing this entire landscape plan? I forget.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Richard sat on it for me yesterday, or last Tuesday, and he said that, you guys asked that we stake it, and so we did.
Yep, and the stakes were right on the road.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's tight against the deck. I mean, it's not like right on the road. I mean, you're literally like 4 feet or 5 feet off the back deck. It just appears like the road appears a lot larger than it actually is because it's over cleared. But that all gets revegetated. So if you look at the road line on our plan, you can see it's not actually
very specific.
What do you have for the walls? New England Fieldstone or something?
in the front.
Yeah.
New England Fieldstone rounds, much like number 13 Monmouth.
How do we know that? Is it listed here?
We put New England Fieldstone. We can provide.
It says stone wall with monolithic steps.
Okay. I mean, we can provide a photo if you like.
How high is that?
18 inches, more or less. So you have 17 at the bottom and you have 19, 6. It's, you know, oh, I'm sorry.
Two and a half.
More,
Yeah,
30
30
inches.
inches. Yeah, they're 30 inches.
Yeah, 30 inches.
But if you look at those are kind of necessary. I mean, if you look at where the road is, the elevation of the road, and you look at the elevation of the house, we did the minimum we could do. I mean, we're going to accomplish most of it with sloping, but he just wanted to have a little bit of a level front yard.
And what are these trees along Monomoy Road?
They're either going to be grasses or privet. It's much like one we did. We did one right down the street at number 29. It's a very similar situation where you've got a sloped front yard, like a slope down to the road. So it's love grass on that slope.
Is that the Matt McEachern house?
I know Ron Winters built it. I don't know if, but so it's a similar detail in the sense like you're going to have a row of it's either privet or grasses and then slope of love grass to the road.
Okay.
And then on the side of the house, you can see how we've got like a little wing walls going down. So that's
well
to sink.
You mean this?
Yeah. So that's all to sink all the AC condensers and the pool equipment on that side of the house.
Okay, so it's high here and then it goes down.
Yeah.
Goes
And then
down 2 feet.
Yeah, and then it steps back up. They did the same thing over at 29 Monmouth.
2 feet.
This client liked how they did it, how, it's kind of hidden, it's below the windows and everything, so.
And what are these?
Those are Leland
That's the
cypress.
Lelands. Which
Are evergreen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That we're completely relying
Yeah.
on to
Mhm.
screen the pool.
Yep.
Yeah, this is,
So, I'm sure you've been down this road with us before, but I mean, I think in this case, it's so close to the road, the pool, that is, that will be applying this, cannot be visible from a public way, and I mean, really enforcing it.
Sure.
So you have to have faith in that you're gonna be able to accomplish that, or come up with some alternative strategy.
And what's the block wall over here?
Where are you? Oh, I see that, yep.
So so that borders, you wouldn't see that little wall there, and if you want vegetation on that, that's fine.
Well, it
Which
looks like
side is
you
the
have
high side?
vegetation on the inside, which is your client's, but what about the guy who owns the property above you?
Well, that's retained.
Okay, hey, okay, so that wall, the high side of the wall, you gotta correct me if I'm wrong here, Lindsay. The high side of the wall is the neighbor's property, which is 19.
No, the high side is our side.
Yeah.
We're the upper elevation.
Look at where
Look
it
at
says
this. It says
17,
15
16,
right here.
15.
Right, because we're
Oh,
trying to keep that level with this. So like if you look at this detail.
Oh, so this is not the real contour?
No, that's the existing contour. Our contour, we're going for 19.8.
so you're
So we're
building
saying
it up.
top of the wall's 19,
Okay.
bottom of the walls. This says 16, but I think it might be less. It might be
So
more
it's
like
a
17.
4-foot high wall?
Yeah, but I mean, so you could just look right in and see that. From Brewster
Move
Road.
it in.
But I think that this is all wetland here. I mean, you got 25, 50. This part of the property is unusable essentially for this
I
owner.
disagree. This is the 100-foot buffer right here, you could build right there. And even if you didn't build there, you can still like look right over and see in there, can you not?
Yeah, this, I'm wondering if we don't need another view on this. I went here today, but I could only get here, and I would like to actually see this looking this way.
You're right, you can see it very easily.
Seems like
yeah.
you'd be able to.
You'll be able to see what now?
Through what Ray was saying, through
So-
that corner.
So I mean, what you could do is you could just wrap these, we could wrap the Leland side.
No, but there's that, but
You're
there's
talking
also
about
this
hiding the wall.
block wall, a 3-foot high block wall that you have right on the property line, so unless your neighbor is, some, beneficent person, you're gonna be seeing that,
What about a compromise of
you should move
this
the
wall?
wall.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this wall comes in, say 3 feet.
That's exactly what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
you need a buffer.
And then
That's-
plant.
And then
Not
wrap the
just
leaves
screening, you need
around
to-
so that you're not seeing that. I mean, at a certain point, you're not gonna be able to see it anymore.
Right.
Cause the road's going off.
And I don't
the
think they're
ground.
gonna let us plant Lelands within the 100, but I mean, we could at least wrap these in maybe 10 feet. Would that be fair? 15?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, he
All right.
just mainly wanted to keep this part level so that he could have his shed at the same level as the pool because he wants to drive his, yeah.
So what are we gonna do with this one? Do we wanna view it again, or do we wanna just make these changes and with a big
I would
old
feel more
caveat?
comfortable. I'm, I'd like to view it one more time, I just don't wanna make a
But
mistake.
when you view it,
Yeah.
just keep in mind that this road is here. So this all gets revegetated. Right now, it's, you'll see a split rail fence up here.
Mm.
That line carries down and all of this
Hey,
gets
so
revegetated.
Why don't you
do
put a
yourself
string?
a huge favor
What do you think?
and just put in a couple of stakes to show what's all gonna get vegetated.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to view, is that okay?
Hold the motion just for a second. John?
This photo, right, where, right here, if you're standing here, where is that on this map?
That's Monomoy Road. So
No,
that,
no,
you
I
were
know what it
standing
is.
right here.
Alright, now looking across the street, okay, towards this, this is what's there, okay? What is all this fencing or whatever this is here?
What they just put that up to protect debris from falling onto the road. It's just a temporary fence, a construction fence.
Oh, okay, alright, but I can't, looking across here, this way, I can't find the curve in the road. That's a straight road.
Yeah, he did the panoramic thing with his
Yeah,
phone.
the camera does that.
I'll tell you, that
We're gonna
Comcast
outlaw
stuff is very
panorama.
unfortunate.
What happened there?
Outlaw.
Awful.
Very
Why did
Yeah,
they
no,
just
it's
decide to
terrible.
put it right in the middle of the road?
No,
Really
Well,
awful.
that's
Hey,
why they're
John,
moving the
it
road.
seems,
Yeah.
Abby wants to view it
Get
again
an automatic
anyway.
cover, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's right. Oh,
You
sorry.
wanna go
All right, thank you.
tomorrow, like around noon?
I'll call you.
Okay, good.
Wait, in terms of you,
I'll come.
View,
this?
yeah.
I'll bring drinks.
Well, also, he wants to get those stakes up to show you where the,
Oh, okay.
where the road,
Yeah.
Brewster
Give him a
Road
day,
is.
Okay.
No, I mean, I can get the guys to do it in the morning.
It would be silly not to see that in place.
So how do you
Okay.
want me to do it? Do you want me to just put stakes and like some
You
string
should
line or something?
stake and show where the actual Brewster Road easement is gonna go,
Okay.
alright?
Perfect.
So,
What's your vote for viewing?
thank you, John. All those in favor?
Aye.
One question. So, but if we have the evergreen trees up there and it's not visible, then wouldn't that suffice? I
It would.
don't know. I'm just,
No, it would.
as far as screening the pool.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's gonna be our protect all thing, is
Right.
like if John goes out and can see clearly through, 4 feet of Leland cypress, if you can see the pool, then you gotta do something
Yeah,
else. You
right.
gotta add to it.
Gotcha.
That's the deal.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
thank you.
There's 3,482 pools on the island right now.
No.
Yep.
There are.
Really?
That's a lot of pools.
And to fill them, a regular 20 by 30 is 25,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
Wait, there's 3,000?
I
4,200, I
want somebody
thought he
to
said.
find that.
4,200?
Access of the earth.
Number of pools, how many?
Is it fill a pool?
So how many pools did you say there are?
4,200
200?
300 and, what did I say,
That's a lot.
382?
I think that's Cape
About
Cod.
300.
Have to recuse from this,
Correct.
Mr.
Hi,
Chairman.
John.
How many lots do we have out here?
Good question. All right, so we got a board on this one. I know we do.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Hang on, I'm on this, I wanna unview this.
And I'm on this, I'm just here for the entertainment.
He's Atlantic.
That's the guy who owns the old. That's the guy right there.
That's
That's the guy.
I'm amazed that you've never.
I never ran into him. You know, I've heard about him. Certainly heard about him.
Letters below.
Okay, so, I don't, has Mark been kept in the loop about these letters? Mark Lombardi, that is?
I don't know.
Okay.
Which where from the neighbor next
Yeah.
door?
Oh, there's like 5 of them.
You got the neighbor. Okay.
No, I didn't have no idea what was going on.
Well, this is,
This has come up before, because I remember
it's
going
come up
to this.
several times, yeah.
Abby, what was should I speak now or should I
Well,
wait?
no, I'm gonna
No.
read these letters and
Sure.
okay, just because
I have something sweet.
that's my, yeah, you go for it. In fact, here. Okay, these mainly are addressed to John Hedden, our administrator. So John, my name is David Carew, a direct abutter to the request of a pool at 23 Westerwick. After consulting with my water specialist, Holgate Water Drilling, he advised me to object to putting in a pool at that location. The installation of a pool will cause the water table to significantly rise. Our water table now is only 13 feet, thus affecting our drinking water and possible water in our basements. I know we were all affected by the changing aesthetics and noise that pools bring to the area. Please consider the water problem also. Okay, so I will just say to the board, you already know this, but all the, the issues of what this does to the water table are not germane to our jurisdiction. We are, the only thing that is really relevant to what we're discussing is, I know we are all affected by the changing aesthetics. We're not even, the noise isn't even part of our purview. Okay. Dear Mr. Hedden, I am writing to voice my opposition to the pool and cabana application being submitted for the Evans property. I am a direct abutter to this application as I own the property at 2 Marion Avenue and have for 8 years. I chose Cisco because of the unique natural landscape and quiet, sleepy feel of the community. Oh yeah, I did say, that last letter was from David Carew, just for the record.
David Carew, okay.
David Carew, who lives at, bye Val, thanks a lot.
Sure.
He lives at. Doesn't say.
We'll go
Okay,
hiking
all
on
right.
Thursday.
So anyway,
He's in a butter though. He's saying
he says he's a direct abutter, so you can figure out what it is. I chose Cisco because of the unique natural landscape, the quiet, sleepy feel of the community. Although I own one of the bigger tracts of land, I remain very cognizant of being a good neighbor and maintaining the original feel of the neighborhood, which inspired most of us to buy here. If I want to swim, I am lucky enough to have the Atlantic Ocean less than 20 yards away. Please do not allow Cisco to turn into a recreational suburb. This one is from Bill Jennings at 2 Marion Avenue, okay?
Jennings.
Okay? Then we have, I'm trying to read the shorter ones first.
Yeah, the calls
Okay.
are made.
So,
It's one guy that's spirit in this.
this one is from Susan Aid. Forgive the mispronunciation. It's A-Y-D. Mr. Hedden, it has come to our attention that our neighbors at 23 Westerwick have applied for an application to build a pool and cabana on their property. We live just behind this residence and would like to formally voice our opposition to this application. We have lived in our Cisco home for the past 28 years, having chosen this spot for its natural beauty and proximity to the beach. The recent spate of pools have already adversely affected the atmosphere of the neighborhood, and this pool at 23 Westerwick would be no exception. Cisco is a neighborhood of primarily upside-down homes, so many of us will be overlooking this pool as opposed to a green natural landscape. Noise is also a major concern, as these pools regularly include outdoor speakers and noise travels easily in our neighborhood. The quiet beauty of this peaceful area is totally disrupted and becomes impossible to escape your neighbor's pool, both visually and audibly. Please note our opposition to this. Thank you for your attention, Bob and Susan Aid, 1 Mattapoisett Ave. Again, the sound considerations are not us. Okay, this one's from Walter McCauley. This email is regarding the proposed addition of a swimming pool, cabana, pool equipment, and paving to our abutting neighbor. Our home is located at 3 Marion Avenue, abutting the Evans home at 25 Westerwick. I would like to make the following objections. One, we purchased our home in Cisco 21 years ago to be close to the beach and enjoy the natural landscape available. We specifically chose a rural environment with small lots. Removing natural landscaping and installing artificial structures on our small lots is not in keeping with the Cisco area. Two, Cisco is known for its small lots, making the addition of pools, tennis courts, paddle courts, etc. problematic for neighborhood enjoyment. Hopefully buyers who wish to add this type of amenities will purchase larger, more protected lots or homes in other areas of the island. Three, the plan submitted indicates that the septic system will have to be moved, but no approved plans for this project are included. As the septic area will be directly attached to our property, we are concerned about the possible effects of this relocation. Four, the existing landscape at 25 Westerwick is natural and fits in perfectly with all other Cisco homes. Paving over the beautiful side yard and installing a pool removes almost a quarter acre of beauty. Five, most buyers in Cisco enjoy the proximity of ocean and beach. In fact, all homes are within easy walking distance of the ocean. A swimming pool thrust upon neighbors is not justified or needed. Six, in recent years, a few swimming pools have been allowed in Cisco. Since then, there have been many complaints about the excessive noise. We have traditionally been a very quiet neighborhood. This quiet atmosphere has been impacted with noise from pools, which carries a long distance in the open spaces of a beach community that has few natural sound barriers, i.e. trees. Seven, part of the enjoyment of your property are the views you have. Our views will be of pavement, a pool, and equipment if this is approved. We purchased our home 21 years ago to enjoy the wonderful natural Cisco views. Respectfully submitted, Walter and Mary Virginia McCauley, 3 Marion Avenue. Let me just, there's one more.
Skimmer.
If you'll just bear with me. This one is not that long. Okay, this one is from Joe and Sharon Squicciarino. And let's see, they'll probably say where they're located. Dear Mr. Adden, this letter pertains to the proposed addition of a swimming pool, related structures, and extensive paving. Our budding neighbor at 25 Westerwick. Our home is located at 23 Westerwick. Like most lots in Cisco, both are relatively small. That said, our home and the Evans home are situated extremely close together, approximately 30 feet apart. We have three areas of major concern regarding the proposed pool. Permanent alteration of the natural environment. We purchased our property in Cisco 7 years ago. The main appeal to us in this community was the natural landscape and beauty of the ocean. Over the past several years, there has been a proliferation of pools and pool applications in Cisco. Existing pools have permanently compromised the natural habitat and landscape. If more pools are allowed, the loss of the natural landscape will be compromised further. Two, permanent displacement of groundwater. In discussing with, I'm going to scratch that one because the groundwater is not our purview. Three, the impact on us and our neighbors. As mentioned earlier, our home and the Evans home are situated close together. The proposed pool location will mean that we'll be forced to look at the pool cabana pool equipment, not only from our deck, but also from the living room inside our home. The proposed pool location is so close to our home that if someone were to do a cannonball, the splashes would hit our property. We've attached a photo that highlights the placement of the pool as seen from our deck. Of course, I don't need to remind this board that views from other private properties are not our purview, so I'm not sure I'm going to show that. In order to ensure that you have made an informed decision about this proposed project, we extend an open invitation to HEC members to come to our home. Again, we don't want to view from a private way. We trust the HEC will thoroughly investigate the concerns raised in this letter. Respectfully, Joe and Sharon Squacciarino. Okay. I feel like I just did a filibuster. Okay, so there you go. Now, so let's see. This was a view. I don't believe we asked you at the time to make any revisions, did we?
There's gonna
Oh,
be some revisions on the amount of decking, yes, but,
Okay.
I think there was some talk of that, which we planned on.
All right, you know, and one thing that I neglected to ask is, John, I, don't know what our board is on this.
Paul, McLaughlin, Camp, Watterson,
Very good,
Oliver recused.
correct. All right, so,
I can go.
that would be great, Abby,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so, I went out there today and, realized I'd been to this site, I don't know how many times before, I think just once before, but,
Been up a few times.
yeah, so my feeling is that the neighborhood or the, fauna and flora, or just the nature around this particular neighborhood in Cisco, to me, does not, it doesn't bring a swimming pool to mind. Like, it's so open, there are not a lot of trees, and it seems, a very hard landscaping for this area. And so I just don't want to just screen it either. I don't want to just put up a lot of hedges, because that's not the environment of where this is. It's, you know, yes, a lot of people have grasses, but it's more, it's, you know, it was a dune. So, I mean, it was it was an area that's been built up. John, are you listening? John, are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm just saying that I think it's out of character with this area, with Cisco.
Right.
So the swimming pool, I think it's too hardscaped for this area. So those are my feelings on it.
Okay, thank you. TJ, you were on this, right?
Yep, and I agree with a lot of what Abby just said. I think there's too much paving, and I wish we could propose something other than privet for screening, because although the privets that are out there now are still good, it's kind of a warm November. I don't know, it's so seasonal. I'd rather see something better screening than privet.
Okay.
And more naturalness.
Thank you, TJ. John?
I have some questions.
Hmm.
What is the lot size?
This is a double lot, and he has a large lot there. And, I don't know what the size of it is, but it's bigger than most of those lots. You see, he's got that giant field next to it.
Is that his?
That's his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice to know the dimensions you're gonna work with.
You know, I do have, is the plot plan, if you turn the other page, there's a smaller plan,
Plot
John.
plan here.
Yeah, flip
Yeah,
the
but
other one.
Even on the front, it shows the
Okay.
double lot.
Right.
See, there's the double lot there, and,
I've got it measured out. It's 100 feet this way.
right, I think it's,
Oh, yeah,
must be-
it's all dimensioned here.
did I dimension? I thought I did.
283.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By 100.
283, I didn't see that, okay.
I'm sorry.
If you are standing in the road, right here,
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of the road, and you got a 6-foot hedge
Mm-hmm.
20 feet away for 100 feet, all the way around, and the house will block some of it. Whether you can see that pool from the road is questionable in my mind. You got a 6-foot fence 20 feet away. You know, that's all I'm saying. Whether you can see it will be with the
Can I say one thing?
one factor. And,
Can I say one thing about this location?
yeah,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, John, I appreciate that. And it's true, we have some beautiful hedges we're bringing in, and they're all field grown. But this particular spot we picked, we put it in this little corner. We're not disrupting, it's only the sod that we're disrupting. It's right along the edge of the natural flora. And this little pool house is gonna block a lot of it from that one way. It's just from Marion Road, which is not a very well-traveled road. And this neighbor that we're talking about, that's spearheading this whole thing, if you can understand, he moved his house over to the site to get a view of the ocean, obviously. And this is what the people said, we don't want to block your view of the cabana, So we're gonna put this cabana away from, they wanted to put the cabana right behind this guy and block his view. And they said, you know, to be a nice neighbor, they put it to the side so they can still have their view through. They're trying to meet, you know, everybody's, you know, complaints here. I've never heard about this groundwater thing before, though. Is that something? I've never heard that.
You know, I haven't. It's something you may want to, go ahead, John.
If the cabana was moved, turned, and put over here, it would do a lot to block the view from the road.
Put to the south, you mean, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Kind of ruins that guy's
They
view
push it
behind
over
him.
here. There's room for it to go there.
Yeah, right.
The other thing, let me think a minute, I forget, I don't know how many lots are in there, I bet there's probably 70 of them. Through the whole area, you know?
Yeah.
There is a photo showing all the
Wait,
pools
wait,
in the
wait, wait,
neighborhood.
wait,
Yeah,
wait,
I'm
wait,
sorry.
let me finish,
I'm
Ron,
sorry.
okay? I get confused at my age. And they moved it over there, and whatever else I can see here on the ground of, you know, that plan right here. Yeah, this plan, whatever's here, from what I can read in description, is already approvable by the board. Used somewhere on this island. There's different things they have, stepping stones and whatever, they're all over the island, and especially, it's best that they're out of town, but I'm just saying, whatever is on here is approved by this board, it has been in the past all over the island. I can't find anything, 6-foot hedge, the cabana, the spa, pool, the stepping stones, and the hedges, that's all approvable.
You're turning Cisco into a suburb.
I'm sorry?
You're turning Cisco into a suburb. It's going to start to look like,
Well, he's not.
well, no, you're not.
Not John's.
But I'm just saying that we have to be sensitive to the neighborhoods, and this is Cisco. This is,
Yeah.
you know, out on the beach.
I'm sensitive to it too, but, you know, it's like the, I'll use it as that steel building I told you, I'll get all that
Yeah.
solar
Solar
stuff.
panels.
Well, you know, there's gonna be pools in here, don't think there aren't. These other people, you only got 5 letters. There's probably 65, 70 people in that whole area that could write letters. They don't care. You know, if they want a pool, they put in, and this meets the requirement. That's it in my book. That
Okay.
meets all the requirements we have.
Thank you, John.
Yes.
And now,
John.
I'm gonna give you my impressions of this, Mark, and see what you can do with it. So, I believe this is the 3rd time we've reviewed a pool for this house.
Val has got a really good, you know, working knowledge of these people.
Yeah, so, and I actually worked for these people many, many years ago,
Yeah.
way before they ever contemplated pool. Now, one of the things that they did was the initial plans, if memory serves me, wanted to have the
That's
pool
right.
right there
That's right.
with a heavy privet in front of it. And that was just a no start because it would be impossible to screen a pool that close to the road with privet or frankly with anything, you know, unless it was 15 feet high and, you know, completely opaque. So that went away for a while and now it's come back. Now, these people have the benefit of having this double lot, and I think that one of the major issues here is the fact that the privet along the road, you know, is sort of cordoning off this in an area where otherwise the landscape is very kind of naturalized and open. And I think that the neighbors, for the most part, you know, some of them have objections because it's happening next to them, but other ones have a more general objection that this is kind of a formal approach. My own feeling about this is if it flies at all, the way it's going to fly is if you push back this sort of formalized vegetation, get the pool sort of in the back corner, you know, allow there to be this lawn that they have a great lawn right now that's kind of all wrapping all around the house. Just like a lot of the other properties, they have these great lawns and there's low vegetation everywhere. And I think that if they didn't have a double lot, this would be a really tough sell, and I believe there was somebody else up the street who we basically said no to, because they only had one place to put it, and it was gonna be visible and end of story. So, I would like to see the landscape around this become far less formal. I would like to see the pool like sort of back to the back of the house, and sort of a natural kind of progression around this house into this sort of open lot that they have over here. Now, so this must be the lot, it's a double lot, right? So the property line, that cabana meets the side yard setback, correct?
Absolutely, that's all their property to the left.
No, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you were to sub.
Oh, right.
You know, cause I can't imagine they're not gonna wanna retain that ability to subdivide, so.
Absolutely.
So I think that the issues for me are formality. The landscape wants to respect the landscape that's out there. We're gonna do the same thing to you that we do to everybody with the pool, make it completely invisible. And I just want to be completely sort of pushed back so that all this still continues to feel open.
The one problem I'm concerned about is Cisco. It's tough country out there. Privet has had a great track record out there. Evergreens may have a problem out there. And, you know, this is what I'm concerned.
Well, there's Privet and there's Privet, Mark.
Right.
You know.
You want some of their, you want to go with something beachy? Are we talking like pines? I'm trying to think of what else can we use.
All I can say is that I'm looking for something that is less formal. Yeah, definitely. And not right up to the property line, kind of.
Well, there's a shoulder
The
there.
suburban aspect of this is that you're cordoning off the rectangular lot to maximize the amount of space on the inside around the pool. Sure, I get that. But right now, we're trying to preserve that sort of very outwash plain look of Cisco. That has been what we've been saying, not just on this project, but across the board for any project that's happened out there in that outwash plain, is to respect that natural vegetation, and your design goal or challenge is to do that in such a way that you can totally, completely screen the pool so that when Mr. Hedden goes out to do his inspection, he can't see it at all. Is there anything else anybody would like to add to that?
Maybe just as a non-voting member, just going towards what you're saying, using the privet but making it more of an organic, like layered effect, where you might put something in front and on either side of it.
Right.
That's a little bit more,
something more, other than that, like clipped manicure.
a little more herbaceous,
straight.
You know, and that will make it more organic in nature.
So break that up, try to use some more native material. This woman, and I've said it before, but I can't, we don't have a crystal ball when they sell this place, then it could be loud and there'd be splashing and all this. But they are so meticulous, these folks. She has MS,
But
I know.
I'm gonna tell you something else. I mean, if somebody is around a pool and they're loud and noisy, this board can't do a thing. I mean, we're not about noise. This is not a.
I know, but they're really sensitive about their neighborhood. They really are. They are very sensitive about it.
I'm happy to hear that, but and hopefully the neighbors would be happy to hear that. But I mean, frankly, what we have to do is we're in charge of the visual environment.
Gotcha.
And the name of the game for us with pools is nobody sees them. And in this particular case, because it's in an area that's very sort of wild and natural in character, we're trying to maintain that.
Can I make one more suggestion? Would a 6-foot board fence help?
No.
No.
4 foot? 4 foot?
No.
It would make it
It's
opaque.
too hard.
No,
So I'm just saying, because I can plant around that better. I can get more protection of the plant material.
Look.
Take it.
If we don't see it, that's great.
Well, I was playing in front of it, of course.
Yeah, no, if you want a board fence to make it completely opaque, and frankly, your neighbor should like you because that's gonna help with the sound factor. But but we ain't gonna wanna be looking at a 6-foot board, you know, you
Yeah,
gotta screen
it's-
the board fence.
I have to protect the plant material, and it's really gonna be tough with the salt out there.
Yeah, that's a tough element. That's why nothing's growing out there
It's
in the
a
first
tough
place.
site.
Yeah.
I mean, stand there and look around, there's nothing there. I
It's
mean,
a beach.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know.
well,
I'm
so-
I'm on your side, I'm just trying to do what my client wants, you know, they want a
I
swimming
know.
pool, and they have a right to have a swimming pool, what are you gonna say?
Well, some things are inappropriate.
Exactly.
okay, so I think you've heard us and.
Yeah, I got it, I'll go back to the drawing board.
Motion to hold for revisions.
All right, thanks. All those in favor of Abby's motion to hold for some revision?
Aye.
You good? Okay.
We're good, thanks, Mark.
I'm
Thanks,
willing to
Mark.
go play around with the plant material.
Okay, we
Thank
very
you.
much appreciate it, thank you. Obviously, Mr. Topham is not with us, so can I have a motion?
Motion to hold for represented.
Very good, thank you. Do we want to approve the minutes of October 23rd?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And, you know, I can't talk about the appeal of that, you know, I'm recusing from that, John.
And there are only
The Lincoln
4
Act.
of us here, and I
Yeah,
don't
so
know
I
who's
think
on it.
we may
I don't know
want to
anything
take that
about
up at some
I
other
think
time.
John's on it,
Is the appeal.
and
Well,
Oh,
Jesse might-
another.
Jesse's on it.
another
Just the
appeal.
3 of us are on it. Just the 3 of us are on there.
Really?
Well, he just said
And
he's not
Steven.
on.
And
I'm-
Steven.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so when you say 3 of us, you mean me?
I meant the,
Steve.
and John.
Okay.
Wait a second.
Isn't that
Steve's
about the,
not on it?
no, Steve is on it.
Yeah, he's on.
But I'm just saying, we don't wanna talk about it because, is this 9 Lincoln? Yeah, because our board isn't here.
Yeah. I think
There are
we-
only 3 of us.
I know.
Can I ask
Maybe-
one question? Is it a second appeal?
What-
Yeah,
No, this is just the
The first appeal?
first appeal. that was filed.
it is.
And what do
of
they
the
want us to
original garage
discuss?
move?
Yes.
Well, they changed that. Well,
The
give us
applicant
some-
came back and received a different
I
approval.
thought there, I mean, we probably shouldn't
We
be
did pass it.
deliberating on this. No, okay, just,
Agenda.
I'm just saying this is a point of order or a point of information, I guess is what we call it. Point of information is the garage move. The very first thing that happened out there happened on consent.
Yes.
Then, so they appealed that, and this is all, you know, I'm recused, so this is all kind of hearsay, but then I think they went in and they applied for a garage move again, maybe not as far out or something, and that got appealed too?
No, there's been nothing. This is for the first one that was approved on consent.
Okay, well, I really can't, I mean, I can't speak to it, sorry.
But it's not even what was
Uh,
approved.
A
Yeah.
motion to hold that to the next.
Well, we don't even need to make that motion,
We don't?
it's just gonna stay on the agenda, yeah.
the-
Yes,
the-
John.
The appeal, I guess appeal's gone to the selectmen about, 9 Lincoln Avenue.
Yeah, so John, we were just talking about that, and there's not enough people that were actually sitting on that application for them to have a conversation
Right,
about it.
we're still fully minded that if there's only 3 people, he only takes three voting members to.
Yeah, but I think they wanna
Majority.
discuss it to put together what the.
Now,
what
I'm
the-
just saying, you have to look at that too, you know?
Right,
That's another factor.
correct,
3 members can sit here, 3 full members,
and deliberate,
they can deliberate.
right.
Yep.
But I think whoever put that on there probably just wants to get a strategy.
So, yeah, the select board, typically likes to have some sort of response from the HDC.
We probably have to have
in
3,
response
well-
from the appeal, so the commission generally would make a motion or something to have someone craft a response or to submit something for the.
Okay,
Well,
can
I
I make a,
check-
can I make a
yeah.
suggestion? We could simplify all this. Again, for the record, I'm recused from all this.
Right.
But could these guys make a motion for you, John Hedden, to write a response to the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
I've
what-
been working,
that's
with
what-
Stephen as well, so,
Stephen Cohen?
Welch,
Oh, Stephen Welch, okay.
so,
In the future, and it happened maybe 10 years ago, they would have the administrator write a letter. We never seen it.
Never saw it?
John, I should be involved in that too. If you're working with Stephen, because I chaired that, and I had very strong feelings about
You
it.
gotta tell him that.
So could
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
if you talk about it, could you make sure I'm involved?
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you.
show of hands, who was actually sitting on this application?
I chaired it.
You chaired, do,
3, 4.
all right. So again, I can't vote on this, but I think that somebody should make a motion that just says, a motion should be to have John Hedden write a letter to the Board of Selectmen explaining the HDC's position on this.
With
What
the
is- what
commission's
is our-
approval.
What is our position?
Well, I don't know. John can piece it together.
Yeah.
He does a good job.
for-
And by the way, to John McLaughlin's point, John will write the letter. He will show it to you guys, and if it meets with your approval, then he will submit it to the Board of Selectmen.
We have to make, we
Right.
don't
Okay,
have
so
to make
I'd like to-
comment, but we,
Right now,
Read it.
yeah, right now, all you're motioning to do is allow him to write a letter.
Right.
That's it.
show it to us when we're
I'd
meeting.
like to make a motion for John Hedden to write a letter to the selectmen. Before the letter is sent to the selectmen, it's to be reviewed by the voting members of the board.
Thank you.
And copies go to each member before, you're gonna have to vote on
Copies
it.
go to each
You can't send a letter without a vote. Because nobody wants to be in the dark.
I know.
No.
So you just said all those in